Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Wisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us on another, well, we'd call it death-defying, but it's not. It's death-inducing.
It's death-enriched.
Death-enriched episode of Crime and Sports. Everybody, this is kind of the one that a lot of people have been waiting for. Yeah. We said we'll get to our house cleaning in a second because we have actually a very important announcement for you guys. A Crime and Sports live show has been booked, and we're going to tell you about it in just a second. But we have to do a quick explanation of why we're doing this particular episode. It's O.J. Simpson, first of all. So, episode 1, we said, we'll never do O.J.
Right.
We'll never do O.J. And we were like, yeah, because that'll be a funny thing to say. But we were recording that in my living room, not knowing that anybody would listen to it or that we'd still be doing it in 3 months. So we had no idea. And once we got into it, we're like, well, it's kind of what Crime and Sports is all about. Right. No one went to a greater height and then fell to a lower depth.
That's true.
No one in our history of fucking sports criminals has done that. Nobody. So it's what it's all about. We have to do it, and the way we're going to do it is different than everybody else you've heard do it. Right. You've seen OJ covered a million times, and it's a little bit about him, and then 80% of it's the murder and the trial. Right. We are going to dedicate 5 minutes to the entire murder and trial. 5 minutes. And I promise it's 5 minutes. I'm going to turn my monitor off. You can fire it up now. We are going to stream it on Instagram. Yeah. It's at Small Town Murder on Instagram. Yeah. We're going to stream it through there, and I'm going to turn my monitor off and put a timer on, and we're going to spend 5 minutes, and I'm going to tell you in great detail everything about that trial from memory in 5 minutes.
Great.
And then the rest of the episode is going to be a complete classic, because even if that never happened, none of that ever happened, it would still be a crazy episode and a classic, because he did a lot of insane shit that you don't know about because it's overshadowed by
a murder.
A couple people, and one of them almost without a head.
Right.
So that ends up happening. But first, let's house cleaning. Thank you guys for your reviews this week. They really help us a lot on Apple Podcasts, the purple icon there. They help us a ton. So if you haven't done it yet, please get on there, give us a review, 5 stars. Doesn't matter what you say. Tell us you're following instructions, following directions. It's not for our egos. It just helps drive us up the charts. It helps people notice the show a little bit more, and that is extremely helpful. And you guys do that for us like champs. Thank you guys.
Team.
Thank you guys so much, because that's what it is. We're not famous people, and we're not, we don't have a giant conglomerate behind us or anything like that. So you guys are the ones that spread the word. We appreciate that always. Get on follow or go to shutupandgivememurder.com where you can get merchandise. It's all up there, and you can get tickets to live shows, full slate of Small Town Murder live shows. But just today announced, 10 minutes ago we just made this deal? 10 minutes ago we just announced October 19th, we will be doing a live Crime in Sports.
Yes. Here in Phoenix.
Here, it's in Phoenix. Right. I know if you don't live in Phoenix or whatever, get your asses here. We don't know. This is the only one we have on the books.
Right.
We're going to see how it does, and if it does well, if you guys jump on these tickets, then there are probably going to be more Crime in Sports live shows. Right. But this is kind of a test, and we want to see how it does. So please buy your tickets to that. They're going to be available in the next week, I believe. Sometime they're going to go on sale. Follow us on social media. It's at Crime in Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. And as soon as those tickets go on sale, we will tell you. And trust me, live Crime in Sports is bonkers.
It's so fun.
Imagine everything that we're talking about, and I'm showing you stuff, and we're laughing at pictures, and there's different. It's insane, and trust me, I've never seen people have a better time at a comedy show than live Crime in Sports. So we're so excited to bring it to you.
And I'm wearing that Knobloch jersey.
You have to. That somebody got us as a minor league Knobloch jersey. You really, really have to do that. But yeah, please do that. Also, if you want to be a superstar, wonderful, fabulous, fantastic person, Simpson, one of our producers who we will continue to gush about at the end of the show in great detail and by name. You can do that excessively easily by going to patreon.com/crimeinsports or heading over to PayPal and using our email address, which is crimeinsports@gmail.com. And you can also find those links right from shutupandgivememurder.com. Make it nice and easy, and we will talk about you and how much we love you. But never mind all that shit, Jimmy.
Yeah.
It is time.
Great.
It's goddamn OJ time.
Slap it in.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And, like I said, this is what we're crime in sports.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest crime in sports guy in
ever.
Crime in sports.
Yeah.
Like, how do we not do that? Right. It would be silly. We just have to do it correctly. Yeah. And we're going to do it so correctly. Yeah. We're going to do Orenthal James Simpson.
Yes. I'll never forget that name.
Let's get into that. OJ. Well, I've heard of people go, why do they call him OJ?
Really?
Orenthal James. And they're like, oh, that's his nickname? Yeah.
I found out his name because of the trial when they were like, we the
made
people
him stand
against,
up. Yeah. About 5 minutes. We only have 5 minutes. Nope. Don't waste my time
but that's when I learned, because I'm sitting there in class and then they said his name and I was like, is that his fucking name?
I remember as a kid reading like books about football players and going, his name is Orenthal? Like, that's not that cool. I thought he was cool before that.
His stupid fucking name.
He was Nordberg, not,
Is he the first Orenthal? He's got to be, right? That never existed before, right?
Let's find out. Okay. You think there's no more Orenthal Simpsons out there, Jimmy? Think I didn't find any? Come on now. Okay, I think you know me better than that. He's born on July 9th, 1947. Okay, in San Francisco.
Really?
Yeah, he's a San Francisco guy. He grows up in San Francisco. We'll talk about his upbringing here. He's the third of 4 children that his parents have. Eunice Simpson is his mother. She works at a hospital. She's a technician at a hospital. And his father is Jimmy Lee Simpson.
Hell yeah.
And he's a custodian at a bank.
He's not a jazz musician?
He's not a jazz. Jimmy Lee Simpson sounds like a hell of a jazz musician, but he's not.
Slapping the bass.
No, not slapping anything. Maybe he should have been slapping OJ and it would have kind of turned out better. Or maybe he was slapping him too much. I'm not sure. But either way, his parents, they have 4 children. They both work hard, but they're not, they don't have a lot of money. And he is definitely, raised in a poorer environment here. He's from dirt, OJ. That's the thing that people don't understand.
Really?
OJ's from dirt. Without all the other shit that happened, it's amazing what he did as far as not in football, in terms of society-wise, and we'll talk about it. He was transcendent. He was Michael Jackson before Michael Jackson. And I'm not talking Diddler Michael Jackson. I'm talking
superstar.
I'm talking 1983 Michael Jackson, when, he was the biggest superstar in the world, and nobody even thought of him as black, white, anything. They just thought of him as, that guy's great. And that's what OJ was to people. There was, people who did not like black people who were like, well, not OJ though.
That guy, he's all right.
He's one of the good ones. That's what they would say about him. No, Archie Bunker would say he's one of the good ones. Like a racist person would even like him. And he really cultivated this image, later on. He figured out how to kind of get under the skin of where he was trying to go, and it worked well for him.
Do you think that's because he has such a silky smooth, amazing voice? And he just behaved like outwardly he looks so fucking professional.
It's football, man. It's football. He went to, we'll talk about it, but when he went to USC, they put him up on a pedestal because he was so fucking amazing. And he was basically told, look, because USC hadn't had a ton of black players before that were superstars and shit like
California.
that. Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of great football players that come from there, black and white, but I mean, they were, the race was still a huge issue, and this was the late 60s when race was a huge issue. I mean, 67 is when he went to USC. Race was a fucking enormous issue there. And he was a guy who, basically all the white people and all the people in the school, everything like that, what am I looking for here? The administration. Those type of people looked at as, he's not very black. He's like, because he can come, look at him. He puts a smile on and puts a tie on and stands up straight and shakes your hand, looks you right in the eye. Look at that. Like, it was amazing to them. They were like, oh my goodness. Hey,
straight up honesty.
If you just, maybe if you treated people halfway decent, maybe others would act like that.
Treat them with some dignity, and maybe everybody will act like that.
Yeah, they basically gave him the Jackie Robinson speech. We're like, look, you got to be better, and you got to be this, and you got to be Mr. If someone calls you a name, you got to smile at them and just shrug your shoulders, and that's the way it's got to be, because you're representing this type of thing. And he actually did that, and it really He's just a different kind of guy when it came to that. His parents separated when he was 5. Okay. So he's raised by his mother, and his mother's a tough lady, man. Whenever I saw interviews with her throughout the years, she's a tough lady who was trying to raise 4 kids on her own in the 60s in an urban environment in San Francisco, and it wasn't not easy at all. A friend of his and a high school teammate of OJ said, quote, "None of us had dads and things weren't easy, but we were all raised by strong mothers who instilled in us a desire and drive to better ourselves." Okay. Which, that's great. That's a fantastic if that's true. They said that they lived in the projects, and his mother just worked long hours. She would work double shifts at San Francisco General Hospital to be able to make ends meet. Wouldn't do welfare, just wanted to work double shifts and shit, because she had a feeling of it felt in the 60s, it was a different thing when people got divorced and all that sort of shit. Because my grandma that we talk about on the show, who's got her own character, grandma did that. She got divorced from my grandfather just right around this time, and there was a stigma to it. There was like people looked at you different. Watch Mad Men,
like you're used.
Yeah, watch Mad Men when they watch the housewives, when they watch Betty Draper and the others, when they watch the new woman who's divorced walk down the street. They're like, "Where's she walking to? What's she doing? I don't know what's going on with her. Look at her outfit. I can't believe she's like." They just pick her apart because she's different. She's diseased.
She can't hack it.
They looked at her like the diseased animal, like, oh no, because they don't want that to ever happen to them. And then it was crazy time. People just couldn't.
If they'd only known how fucking great it is.
Yeah, if they'd only knew how there's nothing better than a good divorce. Nothing better.
It's true.
So he said that the mothers would help each other out. His friends said that all the mothers would kind of watch over the kids in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. He said, quote, this Bell guy said, if Mrs. Simpson saw me doing something wrong, she'd slap me quick. Yeah. So that was that. And if my mother saw OJ doing something wrong, she'd slap him. Neighbors looked out after their kids, neighbors' kids. Mm-hmm. Which, imagine that now. Imagine if
so many lawsuits.
If you were like, you saw your neighbor's kid cutting up and you were like, I gotta go smack him. Hold on a minute. Hold on, it's my job. He'll be very disappointed if I don't smack his kid's face.
I've got one friend who actually I wouldn't even mind if my kid stayed the night at his house and he was a dick. Smack the fuck out of him.
That's funny.
Figure it out.
It sounds like my grandfather. When my grandfather's barbershop was across the street from my elementary school when I was in like 2nd grade, and we had a fire drill and we were all out front. And then I see my grandfather wander out of his barbershop, and I'm like, oh no. And Pop, I didn't know this at the time, but Pop, this was by noon, so he had to be 8-9 scotches deep into the fucking day by then. So he came out, wanders over in his barber coat and everything, and tells my teacher in front of the entire school, an assembled student body
on an evacuation drill.
I'm in 1st grade. If he gives you any trouble, don't worry about smacking him around. Really, don't take any crap from him, I'm telling you. You give him a good whack. And all the kids are like, oh my God, what the fuck? Where do you come from? Thanks, Pop.
Good Italian stock, that's what it is.
Thanks, Pop. And then he went back to the barbershop. Thanks.
I know y'all are out of school right now learning some shit. But if he's a dick, hit him.
Just whack him. Okay. And everyone was like, Jesus. Poor kid. The teacher was like, oh, okay. Like, she didn't know what to say. Like, it was not, the 80s. They didn't hit kids in school. She was like, sure. Like, she wasn't going to be like, oh, I'll knock the shit out of him. Don't worry. She's just like, okay. And then she was very nice to me for the rest of the year because she felt bad for me.
Every time you come in looking for bruises and shit.
She felt terrible for the rest of the year. She was
Jimmy, how's your arms feel?
You're such a nice kid. You don't need a beating at all. Man, so
you come in every day and have to lift your shirt up?
Yes. Check me.
Are there any bruises?
Check me for whip marks and shit. So, man, OJ here said his mother was the best mother a guy could ever have. He said that his mother even said later on that she never expected that OJ would be such a big shot, such a big famous guy. I can understand that. She said, he always had said, one of these days you're going to read about me, is what she told.
Oh boy.
And my oldest daughter would always say, quote, in the police report.
Yeah.
So, so they're both right.
Neither of you have
Everybody's right. Kids, calm down. He'll be famous and a criminal. It's fine.
Neither of you even have to read about it, because they'll talk about it incessantly. Every radio, every news channel, everything.
Always. He suffered from rickets as a child.
What?
Which is a vitamin C and calcium deficiency.
Okay.
So vitamin deficiency, and he had to wear leg braces as a child. This was a kid who started out wearing literal Forrest Gump leg braces.
Wow.
Like, because he couldn't walk right and he was so weak to walk. And this guy became one of the top 5 strongest runners in the history of the fucking world, basically. So he was bow-legged after that, which if you watch him run, he runs funny. Whenever you watch him, you look like, did his knees not work or something?
Why is he so unathletic?
He's going so fast and stopping and moving, and everything he's doing is super athletic, but he looks like he's about to fall down always as he's doing it. OJ looks like he's always just tripping in every step, but it's not. It's just the way he runs. So he looks like he's got this like manic, out of control style that's so fun to watch.
Maybe that's why they couldn't tackle him.
That is why he was just a bowling ball out there.
Which way he's going.
Plus he was big. He'd put his shoulder in you and knock your ass down. He was, and we'll talk about it too. OJ is a mean son of a bitch. That big smile. Don't let that smile fool you. And I take out the part of what we're going to talk about later for 5 minutes. Take all that out. Everything else. That smile is hiding way dark shit underneath, and we'll talk about that. He grew up in a really, really tough neighborhood, and he was, he started hanging out with the wrong people. I guess it was a hard housing project on Portero Hill, which was south of downtown, which is a shit area there. And he spent his teen years in a gang. He was fighting in the streets and doing petty crime and shit like that. Talked about stealing slabs of beef from a butcher's warehouse, which is a very old-timey gang crime. You would not hear about a gang that, like, what is it, MS-19?
MS-13?
They're MS-13. They're not going to be fucking... They raided a butcher shop and stole 12 pounds of ground chuck today. That's not happening. Jesus Christ. OJ.
A side of beef is so heavy.
Well, that's why you need a whole gang.
That's so much meat.
Come on, guys. It's teamwork. Well, they're learning. That's good. They're learning.
Be like a truck on the side of the road, $12 steaks.
I guess you carve it up and bring it. Shit, these are people with rickets. Yeah, they come from a shit area. They're probably taking it home.
They're eating it.
I got a slab of beef. Great. Fucking dinner. Fantastic.
All the iron. I'm going to get non-bow-legged in a minute.
Take these braces off and run out of them like Forrest Gump. Let's do it, man. OJ said, quote, "I was somebody who didn't care about anything, and the best thing you could say about me and trouble was that I was borderline." That's what he said. So he could go either way. Yeah. He was basically in a point where anything could have happened to OJ. He could have went off the deep end and just, been a criminal and never been a football player. Right. And we wouldn't have heard anything. And Nicole would have lived a long life, but that's fine. So he turns out, though.
I don't know, man. She could have pissed somebody else
off. That's true. Who knows? You never know.
I just had an epiphany, though. He likes strong women, was trying to get one like mom.
No? Kind of. We'll talk about it. Let's talk about his other relationships before you get into that. Okay. He has a stable relationship, and he likes rocky relationships. His family broke up when he was 5. A lot of people like to repeat whatever happened to them as a child, and I feel like that's what he likes to repeat is chaos and drama in the home and things like that. He was a very good athlete, was the thing, and he ends up. We'll talk about this, but later on, he spends a weekend in a juvenile hall, and Willie Mays paid a visit to the juvenile hall. Happened to be that weekend in San Francisco, and he was kind of taken aback by that shit as meeting Willie Mays and seeing Willie Mays and kind of going, holy shit, you can be Willie Mays type of thing here. But as a teenager, he was, people liked him. He's always had a magnetic personality. He's good with, he knows how to smile and bullshit. So he would have been a great salesman if he wasn't a football player and that sort of thing here. He was a badass runner, and he talks about how they used to steal from factories and warehouses and shit like that. And he says, quote, "If you were bored and wanted to make some money, you go hit the pie company."
What?
The pie company. He said, do it maybe once a month. Either sell the pies or gorge out on them. My favorite was blackberry.
I am fascinated by his choices of theft.
Meat and pies.
Right.
These are this says what their needs are, though.
Yeah.
They're not into heroin or they're not smoking crack. They're not doing. They're fucking hungry. They're literally hungry. Either sell them or just gorge out on them. My favorite's blackberry. Gangs don't steal food to eat nowadays. Generally, that's not how gangs work. They usually have a bigger syndicate than that.
This isn't the 1300s in somewhere in Arabia.
This is Dickinsonian fucking shit here.
Stealing apples.
Yeah.
Stealing sides of beef and pies.
Steal an apple off the back of a cart and end up being guillotined by the king for it, or for poaching a deer off the king's land. This
is insanity.
He said they stole sardines from one company.
What the fuck is he doing?
Anything that's they probably didn't even like sardines. Like, man, fuck it. It's fucking protein in this shit.
Shit's edible.
Know what the pies and beef and he should have just opened up a little bodega after all this shit. We have pies, beef, hunks of beef and pies and sardines.
No rhyme or reason to the cut of meat. It's just chunks of
whatever they got. I don't know. What is it? I'm not sure. We cut a big piece of meat into littler pieces, so it's a piece of that. I'm not positive.
I'll take that chunk and a slice of that blackberry.
What the hell? That looks delicious.
We're throwing in 2 sardines with that for free.
Jesus Christ. And he stole soft drinks from delivery trucks.
Yeah,
it's still
you gotta wash that shit down.
From those, and he said, but stealing slabs of beef was the most difficult, is what he said, because it's so heavy. He said, quote, it was a bitch rolling those things down the hill.
He rolled it? They didn't have, once they grabbed it, they didn't go, where the fuck are we going to put it?
In a big hill in San Francisco, they'd shove it. You get away faster if you roll it and then you run next to it. You're going to get away faster, I suppose. So,
how many times am I going to drop my phone?
That's great. He says, quote, it was a bitch rolling those things down the hill, but there was no way one of those guys, the butchers, was going to chase anyone down into the projects. So basically, they'd run, and once they got in the projects, they were out.
Okay,
that was it. So they're like, they're not going to, no butcher's going to go chase a bunch of kids into the projects and end up getting robbed worse.
Yeah.
You're going to end up with no beef or wallet at that point. So he's like, fuck it.
It's like the Lion King. You don't go in the shadows.
That's pretty much it. So that's I guess those projects would be definitely the shadow.
That's where the jackals are.
Yeah.
The jackals, hyenas.
And just other poor animals.
Yeah.
Basically, it's
all the scavengers that steal food and shit.
Just steal sardines. So they also formed a social club.
Yeah.
Social club. I don't know what it's quote unquote. That's
the only time I've ever heard that. It's like a sex club.
Or like the mafioso.
Oh,
that's
a social club. Little speakeasies.
Or weird religious people.
Right.
It's called the Superiors, and it was the group of the best athletes in the projects, is what they said. One of his friends here said he had more natural leadership ability than any youngster I know. And he said that they hung out at a community center and they were good athletes and shit like that. Everybody basically didn't mess with them. This is the 60s. This is the mid-60s. Nobody's got guns on the street. Like, gangs don't have guns. They're fighting each other. Maybe a blade's going to come out once in a while, but we're talking like, the Outsiders type fighting. So it's more of that thing. So these were the best athletes. So these were all the biggest, strongest kids. So nobody fucked with these guys. This was a group and OJ is a big, physically imposing son of a bitch. Mm-hmm. Like, people look at him and, he's limping a little and he's an old man. Dude, that's a strong cat. Yeah. Like, the type of strength you have to have to do the shit that he did in football is,
and back then too, it's a different league.
He's the type of guy that could play. If you take OJ in 1973, he could play at any time in football. Mm-hmm. He could have played back when there was no helmets, leather helmets, and he would have fucking knocked people out of their minds. Yeah. And he could play now because he's big enough and fast enough. So there's a few guys who are that good then that could play now. Mm-hmm. You look at Jim Brown. I don't know if he could play now.
No,
Jim Brown. I mean, he was great and he was fast.
Good.
And he was big, but his thing was he would knock people over. Defenders aren't the way they used to. He used to be bigger than most of the defenders. Nowadays, defensive linemen go 310 pounds, and you're not knocking them, you're not blowing through them.
It's tough.
It's a different thing. But OJ could have been great at any time there was. Another friend of his, a guy named Otis McGee Jr., he says, the circles in which we all traveled in that time were very, very close to the fringe. Many of us made it, but I can think of us as many people who I grew up with who later died or wound up in prison or became drug addicted or fell into some other kind of trouble. And he says in 1967, O.J. says, quote, "I could have turned out bad." This was in 67. He was like a sophomore in college at that point.
He thinks everything's going to be fine right now.
Yeah. My life's going to be great. Well, for a while. So I guess he was arrested at age 16, and there's some question as to what it was for. People said OJ said it was for fighting. Other people say that there was they stole beer for a party. They did a beer run, some sort of juvenile horseshit basically that he did, fighting or beer stealing. Okay. And he ends up getting arrested, and that's when he spends the weekend in juvenile hall. Okay. That's 16 years old, and that's when
he met Willie.
That's when he met Willie and kind of figured all that sort of thing out. So he did a few days in juvie, and that
I'm
did it.
betting on the beer because he's stealing all kinds of shit. That's
yeah,
terrible.
it's probably or fighting. I mean, that could be a thing too. I just don't know if they picked the kids up for fighting back then, or if they just tell them, "Get the hell out of here." I don't know.
Knock it off and go home.
Yeah, that's it. At the time he got arrested, he told the cops that his name was Burt Lancaster,
and they bought it.
And what are they going to do? He didn't have an ID. If he says he's Burt Lancaster, he's fucking Burt Lancaster. Yeah. Nice. Let me pull a name of a famous actor from right now. George Clooney is what I am. I'm Brad Pitt. No.
What's your name?
What's your name? Brad Pitt. Yeah, no, straight face. I'm Brad Pitt.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, he's
just Lancaster.
Yeah. So
I'd have to go Samuel L. Jackson. Something that's just like obviously fucking not me.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, Burt Lancaster, this fucking, like fancy white actor from,
It's fucking not Orenthal.
No, it's not Orenthal. Raymond Burr. No. Desi Arnaz. You are not Desi Arnaz, sir. I'm sorry.
I am. I swear to you.
You're not, goddammit. So he expected to get his ass kicked when he got out of juvie. Yeah. He thought his dad was going to whoop his ass. He's like, I'm in trouble here. And instead, this is when he met Willie Mays. The social workers at the Booker T. Washington Center, where they played sports and shit, brought Willie Mays in to talk to the kids, and they wanted especially for them to talk to him because he needed to be talked to because he was the best athlete there, and he was fucking off, and he just ended up in juvenile hall here. He said that Willie took him on a drive, stopping at the dry cleaners and going to Willie's house.
Make him run some errands and clean my shit?
Basically, look at my life and what you could have. Took him to his beautiful house that was a mansion and took him there in the best neighborhood in the city. And OJ soon said that, holy shit, Willie Mays isn't like this god. He's just a regular dude who picks up his dry cleaning and just happens to be a fucking
killing it.
Yeah. And he said that because he said he went to the cleaners and the laundry wasn't ready, and he's like, Willie Mays' laundry's not ready. That's fucking crazy.
He's gotta wait too.
He's gotta wait for his shit. They're like, Asian people don't give a fuck. They don't care at all.
They don't care about what
say,
you do.
You all look alike, and they go in the back room. They don't give a shit. Asian people think everybody looks alike. That is not racist. Ask an Asian person that's not obviously one that's born here. Right. Someone who comes from another country, they will say all black people look alike, all white people look alike, you all look alike. I don't fucking know. That's a fact. Actually, I've read this.
Really?
In
they believe that.
John Douglas, one of his books, he talks about not believe that.
That's how they feel.
The FBI has statistics of where they do this, and they interview people. The worst IDs are from race to race, and the worst at IDing anybody are Asian people. Asian people are terrible at IDing anyone who's not Asian, and vice versa. Yeah. Black people and white people are terrible at fucking identifying Asians. It's an actual statistical fact.
That makes sense.
And black people are bad at identifying white people. White people are even worse at identifying black people. It's a weird thing, but it's true. It's a statistical fact.
Although I saw the baseline killer. I don't know. You remember that back in fucking like the early 2000s? I saw the guy at a bus stop.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah. You talked about this before.
And I saw his face, and I called the police. I was like, yo, that is for sure the guy that I've seen on TV. Yeah. He was arrested a month or two later. His face on the TV. Yeah. I'm like, that's the fucking guy I saw. Guy,
yeah.
But he's pretty white. I mean, he was something else.
Plus, they were showing that constantly.
Yeah,
that's
burned into
if you see it a million times.
It was a great composite.
We're talking eyewitness testimonies. Yeah. Like if you saw a guy who robbed the store out of these 6 guys,
good point.
You don't fucking know if you're, it's just the way
the
it
other
is.
Point. I was robbed by 2 dudes. I don't know what the fuck they look like. boy.
There you go.
I'll never
That's
be
what
able
I mean.
to tell you.
No, but if you saw him on the news every night in their picture, you go, shit, I saw him in a bus stop.
Yeah.
So OJ said about Willie Mays, quote, I saw that he was human. A lot of people thought I was good, and I realized I could be this guy. I could be Willie Mays. I don't think I got in any real trouble from that point on. Well, not for a while anyway. I got a little more focused, he said. So Willie Mays did it. OJ had been suspended from school 5 times up to that point.
Really?
So he was really just turned into a troublemaker.
Yeah.
And at that point, he began to focus more on his studies and really get into school sports. And it was his goal to be Willie Mays. He played football at Galileo High, which had a really shitty football team except for him. Basically, he was great. Galileo had a ton of people that went there, by the way, famous people, MLB players, football players, but I just saw Joe DiMaggio, and none of the other ones really fucking matter.
Really?
Joe DiMaggio went there, so
that matters.
Everyone else can eat dicks.
Yeah.
Sorry, he dropped out.
Really?
Yeah, it was the 30s. He went and played baseball professionally instead.
He dropped out. I did
dropped
not know
out
that.
to go fucking to play baseball, get a contract.
amazing.
His parents were fucking immigrants, man.
Incredible.
He was an immigrant.
Yeah.
His parents are immigrants. Him and he had multiple brothers. He had to go make some fucking money. Period.
DiMaggio or something was his real name.
DiMaggio is it's skinny enough. DiMaggio, I think. Do you need to make that longer? Really? Jesus. So Petrogali, you shorten that? It was originally 26 letters long. So he didn't in high school. He started he was a third string tailback, but eventually he ended up breaking through and going off, and he ends up going to San Francisco City College, is where he goes at first, and he's a backup when he first gets there, and his first 2 running backs get injured, and he gets his chance, and when he does, he just breaks all the City College records. He scores, that year he ends up scoring 26 touchdowns and averaging 9.9 yards a carry.
That is absurd.
That's a first, 10 yards is a first down.
That's a first down every time.
So you never do anything else but give him the ball because he averages a first down. So you have 4 downs to get a first down. He's going to get a first down in 4 downs. Just always give him the ball and you're going to win. That's why he has 26 touchdowns.
Incredible.
So he wanted to go to USC, University of Southern California, obviously, as a sophomore, but the school rejected him because his grades weren't good enough.
Really?
So he considered going somewhere else to go to a bigger school, but a USC scout persuaded him to not go to another college, to stay in City College for another year and get his grades up and then come down to USC. So because he wanted him to play there. So he sets his sights on that. He wants USC because he told the newspaper columnist once, quote, USC is, quote, a place where I can learn which fork to use at dinner. So he's not going there for football. He's going there because he sees that as the next step up in society.
Got it.
From the very start, that's what he saw. He saw, okay, you can be this, but if you want to be accepted on a bigger level and be a big shot, because he also wanted to be a businessman. Yeah. He wanted to be a wealthy, important person. He wanted to be fucking Willie Mays, God damn it. And he needed to know which fork to use because a kid from the projects who steals sardines off a truck doesn't know which fork to eat them with.
Don't tell me about the volume of a cylinder, sir. Which one's the salad
Which
fork?
one's the salad? That's all I need to know. Jesus. So that's why he wants to go there to up his everything, to up his status, to be bigger in society. He marries his high school sweetheart, which in the 60s was very common. He marries Marguerite Whitley was her name, and he'll be married to her for a while, this poor woman, as he cheats on her with everything that walks. That is not even disputed or debated. OJ was an animal with women. Anything that came by him, he was all over it. He was a fucking menace with the women out there. That's never disputed. He likes the ladies, OJ, and they liked him. Handsome dude, athlete, famous, everything about him. So, this was in 1967. He ends up going to USC. This is when he marries Marguerite. And Marguerite just said when she first met OJ, she thought he was a terrible person.
She nailed it.
Hey, first impressions.
Winner.
You know what, Marguerite? You're a good judge of character.
You get a side of beef.
Yeah, you should have just stuck to it. And he says, quote, he agrees. He said, I didn't have any goals. I goofed off a lot. I was sort of aimless. She met him in high school before he would, had the Willie Mays focus thing here. At USC, though, he comes in and he is immediately a fucking monster on the field. It's his junior year, but his first year at USC, he plays in all 11 games, 291 rushing attempts. He rushes for 1,543 yards in 11 games, averages 5.3 yards a carry, which is obscene for an every down back. 13 touchdowns. He had 10 receptions for 109 yards. He was a fucking animal, just an absolute monster. And he wins the Heisman Trophy. The team itself in 67, they go 10-1 and go all the way to the Rose Bowl and win 14-3 over Indiana and become national champions as well. Yeah. So he's a Heisman Trophy winner, national champion. He was so famous so fast from this. He went from San Francisco City College to the most famous fucking football player on earth. Yeah. I mean, he was Joe Namath and him were the two biggest, most famous people there were. Just doesn't happen. That's how big he was. He was so huge for that.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
1968, he plays in all 11 games, 383 rushing attempts. Just fucking, that's a lot, man.
That's almost every goddamn down.
That is grinding. Well, he averages 4.9 a carry, so you understand why. 1,880 yards in 11 games is a lot. That's a shitload of yards. 23 touchdowns. Also had 26 receptions. So he's just killing it. 2,091 yards from scrimmage.
That's ridiculous.
Fucking insane.
He's college.
In 11 games. He's averaging almost 200 yards a game.
He's a superstar NFL player already.
Oh yeah.
I mean? With those numbers, that's Hall of Fame stuff already.
Physically, you look at him and you go, "There's no he could crush right now in the NFL." In 68, with the Trojans here, they're 9-1-1, and they end up 7th in the polling that year. They go to the Rose Bowl again, but they lose 27-16 against Ohio State.
Really?
That's when they drop to number 7, so they don't win the national title. Coach there is John McKay, by the way, who is one of the funniest fucking guys. He's the greatest quote in the history of sports.
Really?
The greatest quote. There's a book called, I think it's called The Yucks. It's about the first 2 years of the Tampa Bay Bucks. And he's the coach that they took in because he was a national champion USC coach.
Frustrating team.
Oh my God. And this guy was the funniest fucking guy. He has the best.
He took that shit in stride?
Oh, he made fun of the whole thing. He has the best line in the history of coaching today. They asked him, the team got their asses kicked like 26-0 in a reporter asked him, John, go, how do you feel about your team's execution out there? And he goes, I'm in favor of it, and walks away. I'm like, that's the greatest fucking line in the history of football.
They deserved it. Yeah.
I'm in favor of it. And that's all he said. Didn't laugh and then give a real answer. Just, I'm in favor of it. And he walked away. Always had a fucking joke answer for everything.
That's hilarious.
At the end of the first season, when they were, hadn't won and they were awful, they 0 wins and everything, he asked the guys at the end of the season, how many guys here are planning on staying in Tampa Bay over the summer and everything, or over the spring? And the guys all expected they were going to, he was going to say, make sure you eat right and work out and stay in shape. And he goes, all right, well, a few people raised their hands. He goes, for you guys staying here, he goes, make sure to stop in the office on your way out to pick up some fake nose and glasses so nobody will fucking recognize your sorry asses, and left. That was the big closing speech of the season. This guy rules. A pompous ass, but funny as shit if you're in the press corps just to hear it.
I was expecting him to say, I hope you leased or some shit like that.
Make sure to pick up your fake noses and sunglasses so nobody will recognize your sorry asses. That's the greatest shit ever.
He's saying that to professionals.
Oh, yeah. Just a room full of NFL football players. He just said that and then just walked out.
You're all pieces of shit.
But it was literally like, this book is it's so great. If just for every couple pages, another John McKay quote that's making fun of his team. It's because they were so bad and he would just make fun of them so often. So that was his senior year, OJ's senior year. So in college, and in only 22 games, he rushed for 3,423 yards.
Wow.
So in 22 games. So not too shabby. The NFL is obviously interested, and he's a charismatic young guy. He's the guy you want in your franchise.
That voice.
And the voice, everything. Yeah. And number 1 pick belongs to the Buffalo Bills. The last place anyone wants to go, especially if you grow up in San Francisco.
Right.
And you played in LA in college. How about Buffalo?
The other side of the country, in maybe the worst city in that area.
Probably the worst weather anyway. There
that's what I mean.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably a toss-up between there and Green Bay. But I would say it's probably worse because Green Bay doesn't get the lake effect snow that that Buffalo gets. Yeah. That is brutal in the wind, and it's just a rusting hulk of an ex-metropolis. It's fucking sad. Sorry, Buffalo. We will be in Pittsburgh and Cleveland, so you guys can come down and drive and see us. But so number 1 is O.J. Simpson. He goes, like we said, to Buffalo here. Number 2, can you guess?
No,
you can't, because it's a guy named George Coons.
Yep, I would have guessed that.
Yeah, George Coons there. He was a tackle drafted by Atlanta.
Okay.
So that tells you a lot. And then Leroy Keys, who only played 48 games in the NFL. Mean Joe Green, number 4.
No kidding.
Fuck yeah. Hall of Famer Mean Joe Green, drafted by Pittsburgh, obviously, in number 4 spot. Then from there, you get a bunch of guys that you kind of got to be football fans to remember. Fred Dreyer, who played Hunter.
No.
The TV show Hunter in the 80s.
No.
And he was in, you'd know Fred Dreyer if you saw him, trust me. He's in a shitload of movies. He turned into an actor, but he was drafted by the Rams then.
The blonde guy?
He was kind of balding, but blonde, kind of tall.
Yeah, I see
he looks like a
right
cop.
Yeah.
Hunter was a cop. He looks like a fucking cop.
I know what he looks like.
That guy, Fred Dreyer, he was he played for the Rams forever. He was drafted then. So, a bunch of guys like that you kind of have to be more of a football fan to really know who they were. But Ted Hendricks was drafted in the 2nd round, Hall of Fame linebacker who was a psychopath playing for the Raiders.
Yeah.
And wasn't he
the Mad Stork? He was ugly as fuck.
Ted Hendricks was a fucking crazy
son of a bitch. He is hideous, man. That is one of the ugliest men I've ever seen in my life. Him and Otis Nixon would be 1 and 2.
Well, they're close.
They are both ugly people.
They're not attractive men.
I think Ted probably knows though. He's got to by now.
Yeah. He has to know.
He's got a weird his forehead. He looks like a goddamn prehistoric man.
Yeah,
he's just a hideous dude, and he's red.
He can play like monsters without any
without any makeup,
anything. Just comes in, they're like, nope, you're good. Well, hold on, wait, a little powder on the there you go, you're shiny. And then he gets out there. No prosthetics.
A face like that and a ginger? Fuck, man, you poor bastard.
So, man, the Bills are psyched about OJ. Mm-hmm. They cannot wait. Everyone is excited. They landed the grand prize of the country. I mean, we read off all the other guys outside of Mean Joe Green, who nobody knew was going to be a fucking Hall of Famer. He went 4th. OJ was the prize. Nobody else was worth the shit as far as anybody was concerned. His rookie year, he plays in 13 games. Back then it was a 14-game season.
Right.
Plays in 13 games, 181 rushes, 697 yards, 3.9 yards per carry. Now, we must tell you the Bills were fucking terrible back then. They were awful, and people just keyed in on OJ. That's all there was to it. It was we're going to hand off to OJ a lot, and everyone would just stack the box.
Got it.
And OJ would try to get out of that. Yeah. It was a mess. 69. The Bills, they're just not a good team at all. Fucking this entire. They're 4-10 is their record, which is terrible, obviously, but it's worse than that. It's one of those things. And their quarterback was the guy who was Bob Dole's running mate in 1996.
No kidding.
Yeah, Kemp was his Bob Dole's vice presidential candidate.
NFL?
Yeah, he was a quarterback.
That
he played
is horrific.
For the Seahawks. He played for the Bills forever. Yeah, Kemp was a...
That's disgusting.
There's a few of those out there. He was almost vice president. Well, not really. They got their asses kicked.
It wasn't even close.
Nowhere close. No. So Buffalo that year...
As soon as that dude said he invented the internet, it was over.
That was Al Gore. That was later on. And he didn't say he invented the internet. They said he invented the internet.
All right.
Not that I give a
Bob
shit
Dole
about...
Bob Dole was the other one. I know what
96.
He he was the vice president for Bush?
No, he was never anybody's vice president.
Bob Dole wasn't a vice president?
No, Bob Dole was
Didn't he run
senator.
with somebody?
No, he's a senator. I think he ran with somebody. Did he run 76? Did he run with Ford? Possibly.
He ran with somebody. As
he might
have
been. He might have been Ford's vice presidential candidate in 76, I believe.
And he lost then too.
Yeah, Ford lost to Carter in 76.
No, I mean Dole then.
Well, if Ford lost, he lost too.
That's
on a fucking ticket. Yeah.
I get it. You can't pick one for me.
No, you could in like the 1800s.
That would be great.
It was just 1 and 2. Yeah, they're going to get along. They used to do the top 2 vote getters. There's your fucking vice president and president. So it would be Trump and Hillary right now would be your president, then vice president. That would be, although, you know what? It's a fucking disaster anyway. At least that would be fucking, that would be amusing anyway to have them fighting with each other like on the White House lawn. We'd have something. If it's going to be a fucking joke anyway, who cares? Let's at least make it entertaining rather than just sad. Please.
What we should do, though, is put like president and vice president and then pick our vice president and pick our president. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And not just have like 1 and 2 like that.
Yeah, but then they decided maybe we'll try to get people that'll work together and just pick a whole thing and, Plus, then it was motivation for people to try to assassinate the person from the other party, so their party, then their president. So that was the other issue.
I didn't even think about that.
Back then, that was a big deal because you could assassinate a president, no problem.
And
just walk right up to him and shoot him.
Like
Nobody
a death
cared.
warrant signed.
Yeah. You used to be able to just go to the White House to complain about shit. Literally, back in the day, you could just walk in the White House and be like, I want to talk to the president.
I'm here to see Trump.
You son of a bitch. And then you could yell at him for something, and he'd go, all right, well, I'll work on it. And then he'd leave. It was like having a mayor. It's like a local mayor.
Fuck, there's too many people now. Wouldn't it be great to be able to do that?
That's the problem. That'd be great. Hey, dickhead. Whoever's president. Hey, asshole, I got a fucking bone to pick with you.
At best, we got Twitter, and they don't even see that shit.
No, they don't care about that shit. So yeah, 1969, he does that. 1970, he only plays in 8 games. He was injured a little bit that year. 120 rushes for 488 yards and 5 touchdowns. So he's at 4.1 a carry, which is yards per carry is okay, but he doesn't have a 1,000-yard season yet, and he's supposed to be the savior of the league. So people are kind of getting a little bit disappointed in him. But Buffalo's 3-10-1, and they're fucking terrible. They're fucking terrible. You really can't expect much out of these people at this point. So we'll talk about a little OJ's extracurricular activities at this moment in time from that time period.
Well, I mean, there's pussy, obviously.
Well, he's in everything, but there's also movies and TV shows. Yeah. This guy is every fucking where. He's in a TV series here. He's in Dragnet, which was a big series, obviously, in 68. He's in It Takes a Thief, which is a TV series in 68, which he played an airline passenger. And he on Ironside with, holy shit, that's Raymond Burr, who we were just talking about. Yeah. That's
impressive.
On Iron, who knew? On Iron, forgot about that in the notes. But 1968, that he's in that. He plays in that. He plays a prison guard in a show called The Name of the Game in 1968. He's in Medical Center, which was a big TV show. He plays actually as a Brew Wiley is the guy's name in 1969.
Got himself a character name.
Got a character name. He's in a movie called The Dream of Hamish Moe in 1969. That's what I thought, too. I said, what the fuck is the dream of Hamish Moe? So I looked it up, and it's, quote, a lost team of Buffalo soldiers and their captain in the aftermath of the Civil War trekked through the Texas desert on an odyssey to retrieve a comrade they had thought had been dead.
Wow.
That's some serious shit.
Yeah.
That's not like some silly... That's like he's playing like a soldier who's been through a war and has to go... Weird. You wouldn't expect that out of OJ, but that's what he does.
Buffalo soldiers. I can think of a Buffalo we could get.
Yeah, I know one.
Yeah.
1970, he writes his autobiography, which is hilarious. Because he just graduated from college.
He doesn't do anything.
He hasn't done... I mean, he's done more than
enough.
We've done, but... Yeah. You're still not old enough to have any perspective over anything except for jerking off.
He's still got a career, for fuck's sake.
That's what I'm saying.
Your career's over.
He just started his career. It's called OJ, The Education of a Rich Rookie.
Oh, Christ.
So it's trying to be like, teaching him to be, whatever, like a mature person. It's him, coming of age. 255 pages.
What the fuck?
That's a pretty big book for a 22-year-old kid to write. It's weird. And he's money comes like crazy for him.
Really?
All these TV parts, movie parts. He's getting endorsements and deals and all over Buffalo. He's fucking got his name all over everything. Car dealer commercials, all that sort of thing. His salary's a number 1 overall draft pick.
Sure.
So his salary is pretty high also. In 1971, he told a New York paper that he was already wealthy enough to retire. He said, quote, that he could, quote, retire this week if he wanted to from playing football. He didn't need to play football anymore. That's
God, Jesus.
That's what I'm saying.
Is it
I don't
$5
know.
million? Think he's got that by now?
No, fuck no. Back then, but think about back then. $1 million was like having $10 million now, so it's a different case. This is pre-70s inflation and everything else, so it's a different thing. 1971 for Buffalo. He plays in all 14 games. He has 183 rushes for 742 yards, 4.1 a carry. So that's not too shabby either. The Bills that year are, guess what they are?
What?
I'll give you a guess. Terrible.
Yeah.
They're 1-13.
They won one game.
One fucking game. So
is that the only team that had won only one? Until
lots of teams have won one game.
Have they done that a lot?
One game was very common.
Really?
Yeah, it's no games that's not common.
Right,
that was
that's just
Tampa
Detroit
and Detroit.
Right.
Yeah, that and the John McKay team that he's in favor of their execution. At least you didn't hear Detroit's coach say that at the time. He was just joking about it. He's like, wow, they're terrible. Jesus, I don't know. It's an expansion team.
Detroit's coach was still trying to get another job.
Well, yeah, because that was an established team. Well, they told McKay. McKay came in and the owner hired him and said, with the Tampa Bay, McKay said, I can't do anything for 5 years. They will be terrible for 5 years. So this owner said, you got 5 years. So be as bad as you want, and in 5 years, make the playoffs. Yeah. So McKay didn't give a shit. He was under no pressure in year 1 and 2. So he was just like, they're awful. I told you they'd be awful. They're pretty bad, right? Yeah, worse than I thought. Okay, moving on, which is fucking great. Hilarious.
So good.
So 72 is when he comes into his own. Yeah. 72, he plays in all 14 games, 292 rushes, leads the league with 1,251 yards, 6 touchdowns, has a 94-yard run that really, it's a famous run. It's man, is it wild. Yeah. Him going back and forth and knocking people down and then just fucking gone.
It wasn't like going through a hole and then going 94 yards untouched.
No.
This is actually earning
bang, it. Bang, bang, drop a guy, hit a guy, juke a guy, and then take off with your speed. It's
incredible.
Strength, agility, and speed all displayed in one run pretty impressively. He's an all-pro. Yeah. He's a Pro Bowler this year. First team all-pro. He's nasty as shit. The Bills are only 4-9-1, so they're still terrible, obviously, because they're the Bills. They suck. 73, though, that's his year. Yeah. 332 rushes for 2,003 yards. Yeah, this was the record.
Yeah.
This was he set the record for rushing in a season with the 2,003 yards in only 14 games, mind you. Which is fucking crazy.
That's so much harder to do. And then back then, too, they were so much stronger. Like the defenses could fucking pop you and make you think about running
They were allowed to clothesline you. They were allowed to do terrible things. Yeah. They were allowed
Spearing you, doing shit
they could do horrible shit to you, poke you in the eyes. Everything was allowed. They could head slap you, clothesline you, you name it. Punch you in the face. It didn't matter. Anything. The Bills were 9-5 that year. Uh-huh. So OJ carried the Bills to be decent. He averaged 143 yards a game, which is fucking insane that year. 1974, also, 73, speaking of 73, he also won the NFL MVP.
Yeah.
So he's the NFL MVP in every type of way, every voting possible, the newspapers, the AP, the NFL. It's unanimous here. He wins the Burt Bell Award for the Player of the Year, the AP Offensive Player of the Year, the whole deal. He's a bad motherfucker. Also 72, 73, more TV shows. He's in Cades County, which is a TV show. Now he's got character names always, though. Now he's not just onlooker.
Yeah.
Now he's Jeff Hughes. So 1972, 73, Owen Marshall, Counselor at Law.
Oh,
that was a TV show.
What?
Counselor at Law. I don't know. He plays Sims in that show. He's on Here's Lucy, which is I Love Lucy. This is Lucille Ball's like third TV show that I used to see. I've always been an insomniac, and in the 80s when I'd wake up at 2:00 in the morning and turn on my shitty 13-inch black and white TV in my room, Here's Lucy would always be on in the middle of the fucking night, and it's about Lucy being like this, like, I don't know, this old rich lady who's got a real raspy voice and she yells at everybody, and I used to watch it all the time. But he plays himself on that, and then he's in a movie called Why.
It's called Why?
It's called Why.
Like WHY.
Why, goddammit, why? Why, I ask you. Why? So yeah, it's called Why. So he's in that there. Now 74, we'll talk about, and then I got something very funny to discuss here. 74, 270 rushes for 1,125 yards, 3 touchdowns. 75, these are all pro and Pro Bowl years too. 75, he is 329 rushes for 1,817 yards, 16 touchdowns, leads the league, 5.5 per carry that year. In 75, which is fucking ridiculous.
He's just maintaining.
You just give him the ball always, and he'll get a first down. 8 and 6, the Bills are, so they even get better. Even the Bills get better. Holy shit! So that's not bad. Around this time, I found there's this book called 3 Bricks Short of a Load, and it's about the Pittsburgh Steelers from 1974. It's a reporter that is embedded with them, and it's really just it's less about on the field and more about just the guys off the field and team dynamics and how people are and shit like that. And one of the guys in this book talks about OJ, and he says there's only one guy in the NFL that I'm afraid of, and that's OJ Simpson. And the guy's like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's guys twice the size of O.J. Simpson. And he said, no. He goes, O.J., and this is in the mid-70s. This isn't in retrospect. He said, O.J. is a killer. He said, he has the eyes of a murderer. He said, when that guy, he goes, everybody else, when you tackle them, they might give you a look like they're pissed or whatever. He goes, when you tackle OJ, he said, he makes my blood chill the way he looks at me. He looks at you like I could kill you right fucking now, and I would love to. And if there wasn't 100,000 people here, I fucking would. He said that literally, like, he said he scares me as a human being.
How about that?
He told me he has the eyes of a killer, that fucking guy. Scary as shit. And I was like, that is fucking hilarious.
Unbelievable.
The anger in his eyes when you tackle him is like, how fucking dare you hold me back? I would murder you if I could. That's so funny. I've never heard anyone describe that in football, like anybody like that before at all. So at this point, too, he's also in a movie called The Klansman in 74.
What?
I had to get the description of this one also. The Klansman. I was like, pardon? I doubt he's the Klansman. That's not his role, probably, I'm thinking.
No.
This stars Lee Marvin, Richard Burton. What? These are big movie stars. Cameron Mitchell, who turned into an amazing B-movie star later on, and on many, many movies. That there's this show on YouTube called Best of the Worst. These guys in Milwaukee do it. Red Letter Media. They're fucking hilarious, but we very rarely recommend comedy. These dudes are funny as shit, and they watch these terrible like B and C movies and try to make sense of them. Really in a hilarious way. And Cameron Mitchell's in like 3/4 of these fucking movies. Just in the 80s.
Just love him?
He did every shit B movie. Like if you had a shit B movie and you needed like some name actor and you had $5,000, Cameron Mitchell would do it. He'd show up for the day and, phone in a performance basically. And that was what it was. So the description of this movie is, quote, a local sheriff tries to keep the peace as racial strife hits his small Alabama town as tensions boil over when a black man is accused of raping a white woman.
Oh.
Jesus.
Is that OJ?
I don't know. OJ, are you the rapist here or what? I'm not sure if he's the rapist, but yeah, I haven't seen the actual movie. At this point, he's also in The Towering Inferno, which is a very famous movie about a building on fire, which was a very famous movie. It's kind of when people noticed he was an actor at that point. The Diamond Mercenaries. He's in that. He plays Bopper Alexander. I don't know. He's in the Cassandra Crossing. He's also
God, his IMDb is deep.
Oh, it's way deep. He's in fucking Roots in 77.
Was he in that?
He's in Roots, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember him in Roots. I've seen Roots.
I've only seen that movie maybe twice.
He's in Roots. I mean, Jesus Christ. So that's in part 1 of Roots. He's shit, that was everybody watched fucking Roots. So, I mean, everybody saw him. He's also in a TV movie called A Killing Affair there. So he really has, in society, he is there. I mean, everyone knows who O.J. Simpson is, period. There's nobody that doesn't know who he is in terms of that. He's as famous as Muhammad Ali probably in the United States at this point, which is saying something here. 76, he had 1,503 yards and 8 touchdowns. 77, he only played in 7 games. He was injured a lot. He had 557 yards. And then after that, he's going to go to San Francisco. He's going to end up going to San Francisco to finish out his career. I don't know. We'll talk about that in a second here. In 1975, People magazine described OJ as, quote, the first black athlete to become a bona fide, lovable media superstar.
Really?
He was the first athlete that was black that transcended race. That nobody, just white people would see him on a commercial and be, I'm going to buy that Chevy now. Because fucking OJ, man, he's a good guy. Everybody liked OJ. From 75 on, he started appearing in the Hertz rental car ads.
Yes, I remember those.
That he was so famous for that whenever anybody makes fun of OJ, they show him running through an airport and jumping over suitcases and all that shit.
Bags and all
helping an old lady. Right. Oh, hold on, all that crap. So he did that, started in 75. So he was doing that for fucking years.
He did.
That's how good he was at bringing business in that they kept him around for 10 years. Outside of the Progressive Flow chick, nobody is on a commercial for anything for 10 years.
Right.
They get tired of people and you get rid of them.
Even the Verizon guy went somewhere else.
He went over there. Maybe the cavemen or some shit, but they're not even like a real person.
Or the guy for Toyota. That
guy's been around forever, but nobody knows who he is.
Nobody knows his name. He's just the guy from Toyota.
Random chunky white guy who looks like everybody else.
Random white dad.
Yeah, random white Midwest dad. That's who he is. Hey, guys.
Sell cars.
Yeah, look at me.
I love Toyota.
Hey, Toyotas are wonderful. Yeah.
They pay my mortgage.
Hey, wonderful. Yeah. Look at that. So, yeah, he would do that. They said that the ad campaign raised the recognition rate of OJ from he says that people he knew, like people he met, people recognized him from the Hertz commercials. He said it went from people, about 30% of the people he met recognizing him and knowing who he was to 90% of the people, because that commercial was on constantly. So he said after that, everyone on earth knew who he was and he couldn't get away from anything. Also, TV. He's on a ton of these TV shows dating back to 67. He's on the Ed Sullivan Show, which is like where the Beatles came out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not came out, but in America.
That's where they were exposed.
Exposed. The Rosie Greer Show, the Joey Bishop Show, which was like, Joey Bishop, Frank Sinatra and those guys. Like that was a real middle white kind of thing. The Joe Namath Show. He was on the Mike Douglas Show, which was a big talk show. The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour. He appeared in 74. The Flip Wilson Show he appears on. He's all these TV shows and doing comedy. People think he's funny. They think he's friendly and sharp. He did the TV movie documentary in 74. O.J. Simpson, Juice on the Loose. Because they call him Juice, by the way, if you don't know, because O.J. is... Yes. The Mac Davis Show. He presented at the 47th Annual Academy Awards in 1975. He gave out a fucking Oscar to somebody. What? Somebody has an Oscar on their shelf that was handed to them by O.J. fucking Simpson.
That's hilarious.
How strange is that shit? He was on the Bobby Vinton Show. Well, that's him and Bobby Vinton sitting there is a weird combination for some reason. He's on the Captain and Tennille Show. Yeah. Come on. Sitting between the Captain and Tennille? That's the weirdest goddamn thing ever. And also the Celebrity Challenge of the Sexes, where he played ping pong against a woman.
Really?
For some reason. I don't know why. I don't know what that proves either way. I don't feel like that proves a dominant sex in ping pong.
Do you think that was his choice? They're like, we're going to have you play ping pong. And he's like, only if it's down to a woman.
He goes, I'll beat a woman's ass in ping pong. Matter of fact, I'll just beat a woman's ass.
You're going to give me a weapon against a woman? Let's go.
Oh, there's a ball, too? I don't know about that. A paddle. Okay. Now, in the mid-'70s here, this is where we'll talk about an excerpt from a book. And I mentioned this once before, a year ago, but I didn't get into that much detail. And there's a guy named John Roberts. John Roberts is one of the Cocaine Cowboys guys. If you've seen on Netflix, they have Cocaine Cowboys 2. They have all these documentaries about the Cocaine Cowboys, people who brought, coke in by the ton through Pablo Escobar into Florida. If you've watched Narcos, it's the other side of Narcos. So John Roberts was kind of the guy at the head of this. In Cocaine Cowboys, he's the guy who he talks about basically playing bumper cars with brand new Mercedes with his wife in the driveway while they were fighting because he had so much fucking money.
Oh, Lord.
That they would smash up 2 brand new Mercedes in the driveway, and they had millions of dollars in cash buried all in swamps and shit.
Just because you called me an asshole.
Yeah, well, they were coked out of their minds, too. And, it was the 80s. In the 80s, he just did, that was considered...
You do wild shit.
Hey, we'll do that. Then we'll listen to the new Phil Collins, and, it'll be everything will be fine.
Some golden earring on the radio.
Put some Susu Studio on and smash India with my goddamn Mercedes. It's going to be fucking fine, buddy.
Hit that Twilight Zone.
Yeah. No.
That was a great song.
I'm thinking more 80s. I'm picturing her
that song is super 80s. That Twilight Zone song?
That's like 81, though.
Was it?
Yeah, that's early. 82, maybe.
Right, so you're looking for
I'm looking for 85. Susu Studio. I'm looking for...
He's
got his sleeves rolled up on his silver blazer.
Yeah.
He's got coke all in his mustache. You know what I mean? He's got coke in his mustache. He's got a flat mullet. That's what I'm picturing right now. She's got her dress is got big puffs in the shoulders, and it's got parts that are looks like silver foil, and the rest of it's black. It's weird.
And her left arm sleeve is much longer than her right.
Yeah. You got me. You see what I'm getting at. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about ZipRecruiter.
Oh, the ZipRecruiter job search app.
That's right. It's good stuff here. Finding a new job is a lot of work. What if you had your own personal recruiter to help you find a better job?
Wouldn't that be nice?
That's what we all need here. Now, ZipRecruiter's technology can do that for you. All you need to do, just download the ZipRecruiter job search app, let it know what kind of jobs you're interested in, and its technology starts doing the work and getting in there and finding you what you need. The ZipRecruiter app finds jobs you'll like and puts your profile in front of employers who may be looking for someone just like who?
Just like you.
Jimmy, that's right. You and you and you and everybody out there. If an employer likes your profile, ZipRecruiter lets you know. So if you're interested in the job, you can then apply to it. Works. That's beautiful. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated job search app. And based on third-party survey, 7 out of 10 people who found a new job on ZipRecruiter increased their salaries. So you can't beat that. Everybody wants more money. These were the results of a 2017 U.S. survey of over 500 ZipRecruiter users who got hired for a job they found on ZipRecruiter. All you need to do, download these free ZipRecruiter job search app today and let the power of technology work for you. Don't wait. The sooner you download the free ZipRecruiter job search app, the sooner it can find you a better job.
And now back to the show.
Just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a new show from Parcast. Tell you a little bit about this. Code names, deception, gadgets. It might seem like something out of the movies, but most spies are ordinary, forgettable people, which makes them all the more dangerous. So what does it really take to be a spy? Well, every week, the Parcast original Espionage tells the story of the world's most incredible undercover missions and how these covert operations succeeded or failed, which sounds pretty awesome. Find out the real-world spy tactics required to impersonate, exploit, and infiltrate the most confidential places in the world. You'll be fascinated by the story of George Trofimov. I actually think I pronounced that right. A high-ranking army official who was arrested after allegedly accepting money from a Russian intelligence agent who was actually an undercover FBI agent. That's interesting as it can be here. And you'll be astounded by the lives of the Cohens, a seemingly ordinary couple from New York City who actually spent years stealing American military military secrets for the Soviet Union. Episodes on British codebreaker Alan Turing, as well as triple agent Henry Dericourt, are out right now. Search for and subscribe to Espionage on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Again, search Espionage or visit parcast.com/espionage to listen now.
And now back to the show.
Now, John Roberts wrote a book called American Desperado, and it's a fucking great book, by the way. It's this guy's story from growing up in New York City to becoming like the biggest fucking coke kingpin in South Florida and the whole thing. And he's not in prison or anything like that now. So he led an extremely interesting life. Like, you know, he got bullied by the CIA and all that shit into selling shit. He was making runs for, this was all very, everything that's interesting about our country and the drug war and all that shit is in this book. Right now. It's all in that book. So he talks about being in Miami and being a big time coke dealer, and he had a lot of famous people that he knew. And one of the guys he knew was a guy named Mercury Morris. Yeah. Now, if you don't know who Mercury Morris is, you will, because we'll do an episode someday.
Undefeated Dolphin.
He's one of the championship undefeated Dolphin players, so that means he's got a name forever. And he also got busted with a shitload of coke at one point. He's very much into coke, Mercury Morris. Nowadays, he's turned his life around. He's been clean and everything for 25 years,
and
but
still's toasting every year.
A mess back then, though. So he knew this John Roberts guy, Mercury Morris did. So this guy says one day the Buffalo Bills were coming to play Miami into town, into Miami to play the Dolphins. And he says that Mercury Morris called him up, to John Roberts says, and he said, quote, "John, I'm going to bring a guy to your house." And he said he told Mercury Morris, "Merc, you're my man. Bring down anybody you want to bring." You know, he's a famous dude. So he says, "I'm in my house, and in walks Merc with O.J. Simpson." So he was like, he says, "I was taken aback. Here was O.J. Simpson, Juice." He says, I'm quoting him here, "one of the best running backs in history in my house." So like he was blown away by his celebrity of O.J. Right. And this is a guy, he's a big coke dealer. He doesn't care about anybody, but he was blown away. He said they sat down immediately. Everybody started doing a shitload of coke. By the way, if you don't know, O.J. loves cocaine.
Does he really?
Holy shit, he loves cocaine. Oh my God. Every story about him extracurricularly is fucking coke and more fucking coke. He is a big coke guy. So super into it. So he says they're putting shit up their noses. He says everybody's high as a motherfucker. Everybody's laughing, having fun. He says OJ turns to him and says, quote, "Hey man, if you're ever in Buffalo, look me up." Yeah. So this is great. He says, I said, quote, "Ever in Buffalo? Juice, are you out of your fucking mind? I ain't never going to be in Buffalo unless they blow it up and put the pieces on a barge and bring it down here where it's nice. What the fuck is wrong with you?"
On a barge. That's essentially your quote.
That's pretty much my quote. Yeah, what the fuck do I want to go to Buffalo for? Jesus Christ. So what the fuck is wrong with you is what he says.
Blow it up, put it on a barge, bring it down here where it's nice.
Where it's nice. Put it on a barge and bring it down there. I love that. The OJ was just like, oh, okay.
All right.
I was trying to be friendly, but cool.
I was hoping he'd bring me coke.
Guess not. And he says, quote, "I don't know what came over me. I guess OJ rubbed me the wrong way. After an hour in my house, it was tiring to be around him. Even though all of us were doing coke, OJ went beyond. He was a coke fiend. He was crazed." Yeah. So this guy says, then he says, quote, "Talking to OJ, the other impression that I got was he was very fortunate he had talent as a running back. Without that, he would have been lucky to work flipping burgers. I'm not saying OJ was a dummy. He told a lot of funny stories, but he was very stuck on himself, and I didn't see that he had the brains to back that up." Okay. Interesting. And then he says, quote, "When OJ left my house that first night, I was glad." So that's in one meeting of OJ comes over, he does a shitload of coke, he's super annoying, and then he leaves.
Washes his hands of him.
Who cares, right? Then he says a few weeks later, he shows up again. OJ does, with Mercury Morris.
Hey, where's that coke at?
He's like, oh, Christ, I got this asshole in my house again? So he says after a few hours, Merc had to go home to see his kids. Yeah. So he says, so he liked Merc. Merc was a good guy, so he's like, that's fine, but he left OJ there.
What?
It's like, you leave this fucking guy in my house? Great, now I'm stuck with OJ for the...
Oh, my God.
So he says, now I'm alone with OJ. He came on a Thursday night, and the next day, he's still in my living room. He says, blasted out of his mind, still doing coke. So he just sat in his house doing coke for a whole entire fucking day. He said he was so wasted, didn't even know what he was doing, OJ. Wow. He says, quote, suddenly I'm his babysitter. Outside of doing my coke, OJ's only other interest was, quote, he wanted to fuck any white girl there was. Which you can take that as racist, but it's also just observant.
This is beautiful.
Because he just, OJ liked white girls. Sorry, that's what he was into. And he would fuck any white girl that crossed his path.
Well, it's a lot of white shit here.
Not a racist thing. He likes white powder and white girls. That's all there is to it. This, by the way, still married to Marguerite. This is,
get out.
Who is not white at all, but he likes white, just whatever. So, and just John Roberts, I don't know if he's racist or not. Who the fuck knows if some old coke dealer's racist or not, but this sounded way more like an observation than a judgment of, I didn't want him to fuck the white girls. He just was like, that's all he was interested in, whatever. He says, quote, but he was too crazed to leave the house. That's how fucked up OJ was. He said the easiest thing was to put him in the guest room and bring in a bunch of hookers.
How about that? When you've got somebody that won't leave your house and you're like, fuck it, go to the guest room. I'll bring hookers.
I'm just going to get a bunch of hookers. Fuck it. Because that's all he wanted to do. Man, I got to get some girls. But I'm too fucked up to leave the house. So he's like, fine, just go in there and I'll just get you hookers if it'll shut you up. So now OJ's in the guest room and a day and a half cocaine binge out of his fucking mind waiting on prostitutes. So he said, this is the quote from John Douglas, quote, they could be ugly as long as they had bleach blonde hair and were white. That's it. He didn't give a shit what they look like. That's what OJ told him.
Type.
He said he'd party with one or two girls for a couple hours, then he'd want the next ones.
My God.
He's insatiable. He said, for coke, he said, I kept a small herd of whores in my living room. Not my words, quote from a book. I kept a small herd of whores in my living room, feeding them booze and blow so they could be on call for OJ.
Unbelievable.
So now this guy's like a harem tender to this fucking guy. Now he's got to keep all these women on a good balance of coke and booze so they're ready to go service OJ when he's ready to fucking do. So this is crazy. And Saturday night, so he came on a Thursday, and it's now Saturday night.
Yeah.
Mercury Morris never came back.
No.
He just left OJ with him.
Right.
He said, Saturday night I go into OJ's room and say, quote, look, man, don't you got to go to practice with your team? Isn't there a curfew? Like, what the fuck are you doing here, man? It's fucking...
You got a playbook to memorize?
Dude, it's Saturday. What are you doing? And he says, quote, curfew, I'm OJ. I do anything I want. That's what he said. That's what
ego.
That's what he said. I'm OJ. I do anything I want. What are they going to do? Suspend him? He's OJ.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. And he says, Juice, you got a game in Buffalo tomorrow. He tells him, Tomorrow you have a game in Buffalo. I'm a gambler. Trust me. I know when the fucking game. It was that, too.
We're 6 hours away from fucking kickoff, man.
Yeah. He says, quote, OJ says, quote, as long as you get me on the first plane in the morning, I'll be fine.
Unbelievable.
So he's going to go do that, and he's going to stroll in, and they're all going to go, OJ. He's going to put his pads on and rush out there.
Holy shit.
By Sunday morning, the man is totally, totally gone. OJ didn't say, I better chill out and get some sleep and wake me up in the morning and take me. He goes, so I got till morning to party, that means. So he is still...
How do you live like that?
Who knows? He says, quote, he's burned through so much blow, so many whores. His eyes don't even focus no more. That's his quote. He's awake, but his head is rolling on his chest.
Yeah.
He's just in this, like, he's in a fucking...
And he's about to play football.
NFL football. With prostitutes spit on his dick and coke remnants all over his nose. He says,
and he's going to be great.
Well, maybe not. This was toward the end here. He says, John Roberts says, quote, I call a friend to help me carry him to my car. By the time we get to the airport, OJ's in another world. I slap him in the face and shout, Juice, I'm going to give you a big fucking line to try to wake him up.
Yeah.
I spoon-fed a mountain of shit up his nose. What is happening? What is happening here? This is amazing.
This is a great story.
I believe every word of it. Word of this story, because most of his stories, he just goes off. They do. The one thing in this book is the author that works with him. Yeah. They have a whole, like, they'll have a page and then they'll have a separate page for fact check.
Yeah.
This case where he said this happened was actually a case of this and that, and he did that, and records show this and that, to try to make sure what he's saying is true. Because he's got these fantastical stories that are fucking true. Yeah. They're all true. So he says, I'm going to give you a big fucking line. I spoon-fed a mountain of shit up his nose. I thought it would wake him up, but it works it the opposite way. He goes out cold. So he said he's almost in a coma when we carry him out. So now this is like the most famous man in America. They're basically, he's a coke dealer who's dragging him out of his car in a coke coma. This is not good for optics, for public for public indulgence here. So he says a sky cap gets us a wheelchair and we roll him into the airport.
Oh my God.
So he talks about how OJ was famous for the Hertz commercial, which wasn't exactly this run through the airport on a wheelchair. He says, quote, as he rolls him through the airport, my friend is goofing on the ad shouting, go OJ, go.
Does his buddy dive over some shit?
Oh my God, because that old lady, the little white lady goes, go OJ, go. Right. And so that's the friend, go OJ, while he's comatose with his head on his chin, drooling and shit, smelling like 18 different fucking street women. So he says, quote, we push him right up to the gate. I find a stewardess and say, ma'am, Mr. Simpson drank a little too much last night. Can you pour some coffee down his throat and make sure he gets on this flight to Buffalo? He's got a game today. And he says at that point, OJ finally opens his eyes and says, hey, man, where am I?
Yeah.
To which he says, you're getting on an airplane. Uh-huh. And he says, John, I left my rental car at your house. And John goes, don't worry, Juice, I'll return it. And OJ says, just leave it there until next weekend.
I'll be right back.
And John says, what do you mean next weekend? And he says, I'll be back, man. We'll party some more.
No.
John says, Juice, man, I'm going out of town. That's what he told him. Like, no, he said,
I am retired from partying after today.
He said, obviously I was lying. Next weekend I was going to take some quiet runs on the beach and work on my fitness, not hang out with OJ Simpson. So
that weekend changed his life.
That weekend he's like, Jesus Christ, I can't deal with OJ. I got to get myself in shape. I can't live like this anymore. I just can't live like this anymore. So yeah, OJ is a mess here, obviously. And it shows too. That's him. Nobody knows that shit. Nobody saw that. He was still the guy in the Hertz commercial. Just saw a big smile and not coke comas. And at home, this was taking a toll on him. At this point, he's got 3 children, and he's with Marguerite, but their marriage is falling apart because he's, I don't know, fucking dozens of prostitutes in one night. Maybe that's a good reason here.
That'll make married sex a little fucking boring.
That's what I mean. Yeah. It's like that fucking Jake the Snake quote when we did the Jake the Snake thing. He goes, first it's 1, then it's 2, then it's 3, then it's 3 with toys, then it's this and that. And then when you get home and it's just you and your wife.
You're like, what the fuck is this?
You can't do nothing. He's like, I'm used to.
This ain't fun.
3 and toys and a crack pipe and a thing and blah, blah, blah. So, man. It's crazy, man. So they said with Marguerite, women just treated him as if he wasn't married and climbed all over him, is what a friend of his said. He was pursued in hotels. Women would send them their panties in the mail, that sort of stuff. You got to be a strong woman to deal with that. And finally, though, Marguerite and him, they separate in about 77. And so that's kind of the end of that. And in 78, he ends up going back to play for, he goes back to San Francisco and ends up playing for the 49ers for the last 2 years of his career. And it's not terrific there. The 49ers are 2-14 in 1978, and they're also 2-14 in 79.
Yeah.
This is 79 is Joe Montana's rookie year.
Oh.
So he wasn't even the starter. It was Steve DeBerg playing. Yeah. And 2 years later, they won the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So this is the beginning of that. But OJ played with Joe Montana.
Incredible.
Isn't that weird? You never knew their paths crossed. You wouldn't think that.
That is fascinating.
Oh, the 6 degrees of separation from OJ is way better than Kevin Bacon any day of the fucking week.
Just based on his fucking IMDb.
Well, when I read his IMDb and his TV appearances and sports and everything else, no one has touched more places that.
Incredible.
I mean, it would be like if Kevin Bacon also was an NFL Hall of Famer.
Right.
And he's not, obviously. So he might be. I don't know. He might be great. I'm not sure. He seemed shitty at basketball in that one movie, The Air Up There, but seemed to have a crossover.
Was he in Teen Wolf also?
He was not in Teen Wolf. He was in Footloose.
But who was the bad guy in Teen Wolf?
The bad guy?
Like
he was
the dude on the other.
He was Johnny from Karate
It was that guy.
Kid. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
you're right.
80s bad guy, Johnny, blonde haired. Hey, man. Yeah.
I'm cool and have
I'm
pecs.
cool. Look at me. Right. Yeah, I have a more well developed body than most teenagers. Look at me.
I look like I'm 28. Isn't that weird?
Isn't that weird? The body of a 26-year-old. Pretty weird, right? Skinny kid. So, that ends up happening here. In 1979, his final year in football, he gets a divorce. Marguerite and him are done.
He's had enough
so,
now.
Well, she's had enough, I think. Yeah. And that's about it. So that's over. Now, after the divorce, there's a problem here. And this is fucking terrible. They have their youngest son, 23-month-old Aaron, drowns in their swimming pool.
Oh, no.
This is fucking tragic. This is fucking tragic, man. That's awful for anybody. That's terrible.
How come that's not common knowledge?
What is OJ? What of OJ is common knowledge besides
nothing?
Our 5 minutes.
I mean, you got.
It overshadows everything. Yeah. It overshadows everything.
Unbelievable football player and stabby. That's about it.
That's all people remember. Maybe Nordberg.
Yeah.
That's it. Otherwise,
that's like a distant 3.
Yeah, that's it. But they had a 23-month-old child.
Wow.
And before I knew a lot about him, when I heard that, I said maybe that was the turning point for him. Maybe then he was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna fucking be a dick, and I don't care. But no, he was a dick well before that. But that's got to affect a person. I don't give a shit, what happens here. So now he's divorced. They have a drowned son, which imagine the boy drowned in his pool. So imagine the guilt trip.
Oh, the fight.
Oh, my God.
Jesus, the salty shit she must have said to him.
Man, I'm telling you. He continues to be in movies, though, and he's in A Killing Affair on TV movies, in Capricorn 1, which is a movie, Firepower in 1979, and a TV movie called Goldie and the Boxer in 1979 here. In 77, while still married to Marguerite and still with her, he meets a young lady named Nicole Brown. Kind of a familiar name there. She was working as a waitress at a nightclub called the Daisy, and he was still married, obviously, but she's a blonde white woman, and that's what he's into. He likes blonde girls and bleach blonde girls, and Nicole fits the bill.
Absolutely.
And he is into Nicole, and she's really pretty too. She's pretty, and everybody says she has a really good personality, and she's funny and shit like that. So very easy to be attracted to. So they begin dating, and then, like we said, Marguerite get divorced in 1979 in March, and he continues to date Nicole Brown. Through this time too, he continues to do movies. In 1980, Detour to Terror, which is a TV movie.
Detour to how about
Detour
Away
to
From?
Terror. No, you're going to detour right into terror. That's what you got to do here. Goldie and the Boxer Go to Hollywood, which is a TV movie. There's that. Then 1983, Cocaine and Blue Eyes, the TV movie, which is he's like, I like both those things. I like blue-eyed women and cocaine. He took the gig, and he was like,
it was a porn.
He thought it was just a proposition for a night.
Right.
He's like, I like blue-eyed girls and cocaine. Sounds great. Then he's like, there's a script. This is a movie?
I got shit to do.
Shit, I'm Michael Brennan? What is that? Who's that?
He showed up with no pants.
Does he get cocaine? Because I brought no pants and I got the spoon, so I'm ready to rock and roll.
Where are the white women at?
Exactly. And then in 83, he's also in Ham, Bone, and Hilly.
Hell yeah.
Which I don't know what the fuck that is, but he plays neither Ham, Bone, nor Hilly. He plays Tucker in that one, so I don't know what that does. So altogether, though, in his career, a fucking monstrous, enormous, you can't, his career is insane. And overall, he plays in 135 games, 11,236 yards total, 61 touchdowns, averages 4.7 yards per carry in his career. So, I mean, you can't knock his...
He did what he had to do
on the field, and God damn it, was he good. If you just look up O.J. Simpson running, I know you hate him or whatever, but look up him running and you go, Jesus Christ, that guy.
And take into account that this is a team that fucking was terrible.
And this kid had leg braces and rickets as a child. It's fucking crazy that he would even get that far. 1983, he is inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, which is amazing. And so after that, Nicole and OJ end up being married on February 2nd, 1985, which is 5 years after he retires from football. They will have 2 children later on. They'll have Sydney Brooke. I think she just goes by Brooke. She's born in 1985. And also in 1985, he has a new wife, a new daughter, and he's inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
How about that?
So going to Canton there. In this class, it is This is a hell of a class. It's OJ, Joe Namath, Roger Staubach, and Pete Rozelle, who brought the league from obscurity and was the silverest of haired white men.
Yeah,
but those are Staubach, Namath, and OJ are three pretty big fucking names.
Yeah.
You know what? Grace. Let's call it Grace here. What do you say? I think this is a good spot to call Grace and go from there. I can't think of a better place than the Hall of Fame is your pinnacle.
That's a pretty big deal.
You've reached your goal.
Yeah.
You're married to the girl you like.
Yep.
You got kids.
Yep.
Fucking Grace. God damn it. So mid-'80s here, you think everything's going great. Hall of Famer just got married to this woman that he's been seeing for 8 years or whatever. You're dropping everything over there. You're dropping things. Things are working out for him, you would imagine. But it's not that simple for OJ because he can't just be happy with that as a life.
Yeah.
Come on. He's fucking OJ. So he's got to be getting some shit on the side. Yeah. That's how he is. So who is he hooking up with on the side? Apparently during this time, it was Tawny Katane.
Really?
Now, do you know who Tawny Katane is, everybody out there?
The Whitesnake
She's the girl who was humping the hood of the Whitesnake singer's car in the Here I Go Again video, and then was in all her other videos. She does like weird stripper moves, but a stripper who spent way too much time in ballet and gymnastics. Like she's got these weird, split weird things and very strange. She also was arrested for assaulting Chuck Finley, the Angels pitcher who she's married to. And
she's the female face of the 80s. That's what
pretty much. Yeah. And in between, she hosted America's Funniest People with Dave Coulier, the terrible, awful, racist asshole from the Fuller House shows. And he is a terrible person. Trust me. I met him and worked with him, and he's awful. Just an awful, awful man. You'd hear Bob Saget makes terrible jokes. I'm sure he's way nicer of a man than Dave Coulier.
That's what I'm told.
He's a twat. I've told this to a couple live show audiences, but I won't say the one part because I like doing that at live shows. But this guy, when you go to a comedy show and you go see Dave Coulier, you're not going to see the comedy of Dave Coulier.
No.
You're going because
nostalgia.
You're 34-year-old woman and you liked Full House and you want to get a picture with Uncle fucking whatever he is, Joey. I think he was Joey. Yeah, Jesse was the other one.
Right.
So that's why they go. He didn't bring merch with him to sell.
Right.
So the whole lobby is full of the entire sold out crowd that was just there to take a picture with him. That's all they want.
Right.
And I go, okay, everybody's waiting for you. And he goes, yeah, I'm not going out there. Huh? What? He goes, I didn't bring any merch, so I'm not going out there. I go, I don't think they want to buy anything. They all want a picture with you.
Right.
That's why they're here. And he's like, yeah, you just tell him I'm not coming out. I go, really? So I walked right out there and went, Dave doesn't have anything to sell, so he's not coming out. Fuck that guy. Normally,
Dave says he's not taking your money, so fuck you.
Dave said he has nothing to sell, so he's not coming out. Thanks. And I went inside. Fuck it. If you don't give a fuck about your audience, neither do I.
Fuck your audience,
fuck
Dave.
Them. Yeah. Normally, a comic who's not a complete twat, you cover for if something, always hungover or something. You'd be like, oh, he's not feeling too good. He ate something bad or whatever. But this guy, fuck him. He has nothing to take your money with, so fuck him. So anyway,
that's terrible.
It is terrible. So during this time, he's screwing around with Tawny Katane on the side, and mind you, he is married while this is happening.
Right.
The band from the '80s, Rat. Do you know who Rat is?
Yeah, Round and Round.
Round and Round.
Oh, yeah,
that's the only song.
Oh, they're so good.
Round and Round.
I still have the albums.
Okay, well,
I love them.
Their singer Stephen Pearcy wrote a book about his autobiography or whatever. It's pretty fucking funny. Any rocker's autobiographies are
from
always
the 80s. Fuck,
they're so much fun because they're all like, I went to LA, we did lots of coke, and it's always crazy. Partied with this one, partied with that one. Well, in this book, his guitar player, I believe, Robin at the time in Rat, was he had been seeing Tawny Katane since high school. They knew each other since they grew up in San Diego together, and Tawny had moved to LA, and then when Rat moved to LA, he started hooking back up with Robin, and they were like an old hookup that would always, they'd get together now and then.
The X-Sex.
They would fall back, that sort of thing. They knew each other since they were teenagers. Apparently, OJ had started seeing Tawny Katane on the side. And Robin had run into OJ at Tawny Katane's house, where apparently Robin came to Steven, the singer who wrote the book, later on and said, dude, I'm scared shitless. And he said, why? He goes, fucking OJ Simpson threatened to kill me. And he goes, what? OJ said the Hertz guy threatened to kill you? Like, what are you talking about? OJ's just a smiley guy at that point. And he said, I ran into him at Tawny's house, and Tawny's apparently been seeing him too. And OJ said, if you don't stop fucking with Tawny, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Oh, boy.
And he meant that shit. He goes, I believe it. He goes, I'm scared of that guy.
I've seen it in his eyes. He's a killer.
He's a killer, like we heard before. But he's also a big fucking guy. Yeah. And OJ, if you remember the Rick James story on Chappelle's show, if Charlie Murphy, what he says is, first thing I remember about OJ, he got a big fucking head.
Yeah, he does.
He's got a big monstrous head and big old hands, and if that guy's threatening you with that deep voice, and you're a skinny blonde guitar player, you might take that shit seriously. So he was very scared at that point. But he's still in movies. He's in Back to the Beach. Remember Back to the Beach with Frankie Avalon?
Fuck yeah.
He's
I used to watch that all the time.
He's in Back to the Beach. He's a guy at the airport who's uncredited. He just makes like a cameo, an uncredited cameo. He's in Student Exchange, which is a 1987 TV movie. Then 1988, he makes his true. This is his zenith of his acting moment here. He's in Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad, where he plays Nordberg, where he gets. If you've never seen the Naked Gun,
just every gag's on him.
The character is he's Nordberg, and every scene that he's in, awful, horrible physical things befall him. He's they shoot him, they hit him, he falls off the boat deck, and an octopus is latched onto him. He goes in the hospital, and the bed crunches him up and slams him down.
He's in a fucking full body cast.
Full body cast. They're still hurting him. Then finally he's in a wheelchair, and Frank Drebin there, Leslie Nielsen slaps him on the back, and he goes all the way down and shoots off the upper deck. Nordberg's a disaster in this goddamn movie, but it's OJ's funniest moment.
It's the same gag with him. And you're just watching for that shit.
It's so funny because I got to give OJ credit. He plays it perfect too. He's just they finally were like, he's such a bad fucking actor. Let's just have him act badly the whole time while he's getting hit, and that's what makes it funny is that he's so bad at reacting to this shit, which makes it hilarious. And then he's also in The Heat of the Night, the TV series with Archie Bunker in it. There,
what?
Carol O'Connor in The Heat of the Night. He plays like an old Southern. I just remember the commercials. I'm not 100. I've never seen it either, but the commercials used to be on all the time for In the Heat of the Night, and it would show Archie Bunker with a Southern accent, which would trip me the fuck out. And he played a councilman in that. OJ did, not Carol O'Connor. So, 1988, his son is born, Justin Ryan Simpson. Yep. So he has a son with Nicole at that point. So, he's just, wow, he's a goddamn mess. A ex-girlfriend of his said that, and friends of his would say this too, that they get a call out of the blue from OJ and just tell people that there's tickets waiting for you to Los Angeles, or, at the airport. Just come see me. He just send people in. And these are the people he grew up with. So a lot of his friends that he grew up with really like him because they said he remembered them. Now the thing that later on a lot of the black community will say is he didn't give a fuck about the black community. He didn't care about us at all. As soon as he could move to Brentwood, he fucking did and left us behind. But there's a few select people from his childhood that's not the case with. One of his friends said he didn't forget us. Even with all that money, he remained the same old OJ we always knew. A criminal. Yeah, that one. Problem. The one who steals sardines off a truck.
And does blow with hookers in somebody else's house.
Yeah, that's wow. Now
that's my favorite part. He is the worst house guest of all time.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Well, Kato is
no OJ.
Yeah, OJ's
just forcing himself.
John Roberts, doing all your coke.
The worst house guest ever.
Forcing multiple prostitutes to run through your. That sounded like a horrible, exhausting 3-day ordeal, didn't it?
That's way worse than changing out the toilet paper and getting somebody.
Can you
extra
imagine
towels.
That shit? You're like,
that's
what?
Fucked up.
What kind of cereal do you want now? Jesus, fucking Raisin Bran. All right, fine. Jesus.
There's no more blonde girls in town. You gotta fuck them again.
You gotta. We're out of blonde girls in Miami. Sorry. All the bleach. We're out of bleach. I don't know what to tell you. So now there was obviously, even up to this point, reports of tension between OJ and Nicole in the house and possible, violent situations. Sure. And a friend of his that he grew up with said that you shouldn't judge him too harshly on this though, because the public they're not inside a house, they don't know things. True. He says, quote, "You put a man and a woman in the same house day in and day out, and from time to time somebody gets slapped."
Is that right?
That's what this man said.
Is that how that works?
Quote, "You put a man and a woman in the same house day in and day out, and from time to time somebody gets slapped." slapped?
Let me ask you something, James.
Nope. I'll answer it right now. Nope.
You and Sarah in this house.
We spend every day together. Never slap. Nobody ever slaps anybody.
That is a fucking great quote.
That's like the Deacon Jones quote where he's like, when you slap a man or woman, or woman. I like that he said it like he didn't want to be sexist to Deacon Jones, which was very funny. But this is, then the friend went on. He didn't just leave it at that, which would have been crazy enough. He said, I don't think that made OJ outstanding in America. It's not exactly an uncommon thing. It's also not a good thing. Right. It doesn't make him stand out as a good person at that point.
There's a lot of shit that's common that isn't right.
Yeah, it's true. But his friend said, don't put that on him. Don't put that label on him. Put the label of the guy that you can look up to as a role model and as proof that it's possible to get out of a shit situation and become, the most famous, beloved man in America, basically.
Charles Barkley.
Yeah, exactly. You put a man and a woman in a house together, someone's going to get slapped, Jimmy. It's clear as day. I've never been alone in the same domicile with a person of the opposite sex for more than 3 hours without somebody getting slapped. Usually, that's how it works. It's weird. You don't even want to.
Yeah.
You could be getting along, watching TV. You're like, that's hilarious. Then you just have this overwhelming urge. I have to. I need to.
I didn't know that was so common. I can't wait to hug my girl and tell her thank you for not hitting me.
Hey, thanks a lot. Jesus.
You are the best.
So January 1st, 1989. This is, it's actually more like New Year's Eve into January 1st. This is in the middle of the night. So, OJ, police are called to the house, to the Brentwood home here for OJ. It's he and Nicole Brown's house, Nicole Brown Simpson. It's a 911 call. This is the 9th time they've been dispatched to the house over a domestic dispute. 9th.
Wow.
It's 1989. They've been married for 4 years, 9 times. So over twice a year, this has happened.
Every 6 months, cops
cops are being called to break up one of their fucking fights.
Ridiculous.
Now, the reports on this one note that Nicole suffered extensive bruising and scratching and required hospital treatment, and quoted Nicole here as pleading with the officers at the scene, quote, he's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. You never do anything about him. You talk to him and then leave. Because that's what they used to do.
Yeah.
And that's what they used to do a lot in society in general.
Right.
Now, if you show up and someone's been hit, someo's going to jail, period. That's it. If not, both of you are going to fucking jail. If both of you are, you're both going.
Mostly the unbruised one.
Mostly the unbruised one, yeah. But I mean, if you're both all fucked up, everybody goes to jail. Fuck it. That's what they do now.
Absolutely.
Back then, they used to show up, and if it was resolvable, if they could get the battery to be like, I'm okay, I don't feel unsafe, and everything's fine, and it's blown over now, they would just leave.
Yeah.
Or they would take a guy, a lot of times they would take a guy, we'll take you to your mother's house for the night, you sleep it off or whatever, and come back the next day, or they do some shit like that. Which, how many people in the homicide book, they talk about this a couple of times where there was a drunk dispute. They took the guy over to his mom's house. He ended up coming back, breaking in and killing the woman later on that night. That's what happened.
He's still pissed.
Yeah, he's still pissed. So so he says, now OJ, he uses it the opposite way. She says, you've been out here all the time. You never arrest him. He says, quote, the police have been out here 8 times before and now you're going to arrest me for this? He said, you never fucking arrested me for what the fuck? I'm allowed to hit my wife based on precedence here. Usually, here's how it goes. I knock her around. You guys come out. I say I'm OJ. We smile a little. You guys go home. I go back inside. That's how this works.
An autograph for the kiddies.
What are we talking about here? A couple tickets to a USC game and we call it a fucking day.
8x10. Fuck out of my driveway.
OJ. Over here.
Ridiculous.
I can get you Hertz.
Here's a gift card to Hertz.
I can get you upgrades, man. Midsize. For the price of an economy, motherfucker. You know what that's like? That shit's expensive. It's too much.
Ball on a budget, sir.
Shit, man. I can get you there. So, he tells them that. He also tells them, quote, this is a family matter. Why do you want to make a big deal out of it when we can handle it?
Wow.
That's the other thing they used to say is it's a family matter. It's not. If once you hit somebody, then it's a legal matter at that point. It's not family anymore.
Carl Winslow's not here, sir. This isn't family matters. Somebody's punched in the face.
An argument is a family matter. We got an an argument and she's mad at me and I'm going to go sleep upstairs. We don't need any intervention. It's a family affair. We'll take care of it. Once there's blood and scratching and bruising and hospital visits are necessary, you forfeited your family fucking designation for that shit. So, they say that police arrived there late at night and they saw Nicole running out of some bushes. So she was hiding in the bushes when they showed up, which is a bad sign right away because my wife is rarely in the bushes. Unless Sarah's gardening, I never see her run from the bushes in fear. It's never happened. I don't know if whatever.
My girl has told me she's in the life weeds, but she is never in the bushes.
Not in the literally in the bushes, especially not bruised and scratched up and emerging from the bushes in the middle of the night.
Very rarely.
At 2 a.m, too, the likelihood of finding whoever you're with in the bushes goes down and down, really, as later it goes in the night. So she bursts out, bruised and scratched from the bushes, yelling, "He's going to kill me, he's going to kill me," waving her arm. So that's why you should be on high alert if you're a cop at this point. Something has gone on that we're going to need to break the cuffs out. There's going to be paperwork this evening. I'm sorry. It's just happening here. Yelling, "She's going to kill me." Then she said, "You never do anything about him. You just, you talk to him and you leave," and all of this shit.
I think I've heard this 911 call too, where
that's later.
Oh,
that's
really?
Later. Yeah, that's later. So it was after a New Year's Eve party at their house. So everybody was drinking and all that. She says that OJ had punched and kicked her and pulled her hair and screamed, I'll kill you, over and over again. At one point, she said he slapped her so hard that there was a handprint left on her neck. That's what the police report said. So it's a fucking handprint, which is a hard smack. This is 3:30 in the morning, they respond. So this is all we've been in this neighborhood. We went to this property. We did. Jimmy and I went to this.
Barely. I tried.
It was hard. Well, they changed the address.
Here's the house.
Yeah.
You're like, that's not it.
That's not it. Yeah. I just said I'll know the house when I see it. Not the house because they've knocked the house down, built a new one, but I'll know the property because it sits at a very
distinct angle.
Angle on a distinct corner where you go, that's the one. You can see it from an aerial view. And they changed the address on it too, so you have to really figure it out. But we found it.
We found it.
Hunt that shit down.
We stood there for a sec.
Yeah, this is a very we can't explain to you how nice of a neighborhood this is.
The millions of dollars in each home is crazy.
Every house is worth $15 to $20 million or more.
Bananas.
It's these estates. They all have the high like bushes and shrubbery all around.
12-foot tall fences.
Yeah, with the bushes that go above that and trees so you can't even see in the yard and gates and
trees that are like hundreds of years old.
Yeah, this that go all the way in these big properties. Right. So this could all be happening and no one around is going to hear any of this or see any of this. The neighbors, they have it set up so you don't feel like you have neighbors there, basically. That's why the houses are angled the way they are and shit like that. It's a gorgeous place. But anyway, they show up. When they ring the intercom, when they show up at the gate, because they still have to ring the intercom to get in the gate, a housekeeper answered the intercom and just said, "Everything's fine," and clicked it off. She said, no mas.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah, she just said, "Everything's fine." That's all they said. Spanish accent, "Everything's fine," and that's all there was.
Hilarious.
She said, no police needed. She said, that was it.
Okay.
No, don't need you. But the officer said that they, received a fucking phone call through frantic Nicole calling 911. And so,
and how about that? Fucking Judas, help me out here. I'm getting my ass kicked.
Yeah, what are you doing? Well, who signs the paychecks? It's fucking OJ. And OJ, I'm sure, told her, "Bitch, I sign your fucking paychecks.
Right.
I'll get your ass deported back to fucking Colombia if you want to pull this shit." He's not a nice guy.
No.
I could see him threatening people. So, while this was going on, this is when they see Nicole run out of the bushes screaming. So they're like, okay, we're going to get in here.
Open up.
Yeah. So as she's telling them what happened, he hit me, slapped me, here's a handprint, here's all this shit. OJ comes outside dressed in a bathrobe because it's 3:30 in the morning and starts yelling at Nicole, which is the wrong approach when your wife or anybody really is describing to police how you've been horrible to them and they're here to now probably arrest you. You don't come out and make it worse by proving what a psychopath you are.
Yeah.
So she's seated in the police car and he's screaming at her. Like, the cops don't even exist. He's so
brazen.
I'm OJ. Rules don't apply to me, that the cops in his yard, they don't even exist. He just blows by them. Fuck out of my way. Bitch, I'm telling you, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, we're standing right here with guns and shit. You don't even care. But no respect at all because fuck does he care? So he tells police he's been drinking. Everybody's been drinking, and his wife and he began to argue, and that any of the injuries that she had were accidental and were the result of a, this is an amazing quote, a quote, mutual wrestling type altercation. The fuck is that?
That's called a physical fight.
Well, no, man, it's cool because we had the whole outcome was already set. I was going to win, see, and at the end I said I'm a suplex you, then jump off the top rope, and she said no, and then I messed up and I hit her in the nose, and this is just an accident. We're practicing for our ring debut. Mutual wrestling type altercation, which
he stuttered through that. It was
that's some 3:30 in the morning shit right there.
Some drunk 3:30 in the morning shit.
It was a wrestling type altercation.
You see
in the living room,
right.
And I had fallen and on top of her. See, I tripped.
Right.
I sunk in living room. And I landed.
You know what it's like.
You know what it's. You've been in mutual type wrestling altercations, right? Everybody been there. So they take the report from Nicole, and as they're taking the report from Nicole, OJ becomes super pissed.
Yeah.
That he thinks he's going to be arrested, so he starts getting fucking super angry and yelling around the driveway. This is fucking bullshit. Blah blah blah. So what he does is he fucking slides out the side exit to the yard, hops into his Bentley, and drives off.
Wow.
See ya. Takes off. Gone.
I gotta run, guys.
Gotta run.
You gotta sort this shit out without me.
I'll be back later. You guys wrestle with her. It's fun. And then get back to me. So, by later on that day, they had to find him, have himself turn him in late. He ended up turning himself in later on, but he just took off. Like, you're not arresting me unless I want to be arrested.
Right.
Which is a pattern.
I think I'll let you arrest me today, B-Hen.
Exactly. That's exactly what fucking happened.
He Wyatt Earped him.
Yeah, he Wyatt Earped him, exactly. So 4 months later here, we'll talk about this. 4 months later, he pleads no contest to spousal battery charges, and the judge overrules the prosecutor requests that he serves a month in jail because of the severity of the beating, and they want him to undergo an intensive year-long treatment program for men who beat the shit out of their wives,
right.
Basically. So the judge overrules all that, though, and says, no, he doesn't need that at all. What are we? He's OJ, damn it. He pleads no contest, and he's punished with community service, probation, and fines.
Jesus.
And later that year, too, he's hired by NBC to co-host NFL Live pregame show.
Wow.
Like it never happened, man.
Unbelievable.
Like it never fucking happened. And by the way, we haven't mentioned through all this, he's always on. He had a job on Monday Night Football as a sideline reporter. He's always doing sideline reporting for all the different networks for football games. He's doing college stuff. He's doing tons of shit on TV. Through this whole thing, he's no jail time. He's allowed to pick his own psychiatrist and receive counseling over the phone, which prosecutors said was, quote, unprecedented. They've never had anyone allowed to pick their own counselor and then get counseling over the phone. He doesn't even have to go anywhere. This fucking guy. It doesn't. We can't have it inconvenience him, though. That's the thing here.
Do you? I'll ask it later. I'm already seeing some shit, though.
Yeah. Now, when he at a news conference announcing him getting hired as the football analyst in July, he was asked about that, and he downplayed the whole thing, and he said, "quote It was really a bum rap. We had a fight. That's all. A mutual wrestling type altercation, which should be the name of this episode. A mutual wrestling type altercation." Surprised he didn't call that one later on a mutual wrestling type altercation.
Well, he wasn't there. That's
yeah, well, if he admitted to it, he was, listen, it was a 2-on-1, it was a handicap match that I happened to win.
And I equalized it with a blade.
So it was 2-on-2. So prosecutors here, they said they wanted jail time for him, obviously. The woman who counseled Nicole Simpson said, quote, "I was very concerned for her safety." Obviously. She said, "We believed the violence would get more frequent and more severe without intervention here." Continues to get TV work. By the way, he was in the First and 10 HBO series for all the time. He was on it all for years. Remember that terrible football show on HBO that had Tiny Lister in it? Had Zeus in it?
They like to, HBO really likes to jump on the NFL bandwagon with the NFL,
this was like 86 that came out.
Stuff.
Also in 91, the Naked Gun 2.5 comes out. The Smell of Fear, which is more Nordberg getting hit by shit.
That was a pretty good one, right?
It's fine. It's the Naked Gun.
That one is like, what the fuck, you
that's
guys?
enough. Enough of that shit.
Just quit.
Just stop here. He's also in a CIA Codename Alexa movie where he plays a detective, and then he's in a movie called No Place to Hide in 1992.
Van Damme movie?
Well, let's find out. No Place to Hide. Detective Joe Garvey is called into a mysterious case. A ballerina has been slayed on stage during a performance, and it seems she didn't even fight. At her house, Garvey finds her 14-year-old precocious sister Tinsel. She's not very cooperative, so he arranges to have her sent to an orphanage. What the fuck? Until she's attacked too. He takes her under his wings, both of them apparently, not just one, and soon both get the attention of a secret organization. That's a movie.
And he's the lead character?
No. The lead character is Chris Christopherson, and the 14-year-old girl, Drew Barrymore.
Oh, boy.
So 6 degrees of fucking O.J. Simpson. Drew Barrymore, Chris Christopherson, Joe Montana.
Right. He's now connected to all the country singers, too.
Everything. That's what I mean. All of those. Yeah. Drew Barrymore is connected to everything from old Hollywood to new Hollywood back. She's everything.
That stretches E.T. to today.
He will fucking wreck Kevin Bacon any day of the week in 6 degrees of separation. Any fucking day. So play 6 degrees of O.J. Simpson. I fucking dare you. It's so easy. So finally, on February 25th, 1992, Nicole Brown files for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences like their weight differences being a bad wrestling match for both of them. She's just not okay with it. Okay. So, in 1993, they do make an attempt to get back together at one point, Nicole and OJ. They take a shot at it. A friend of hers said that, quote, they were a dramatic, fractious, mutually obsessed couple before they were married, after they were married, and after they divorced in 1992, and after they reconciled. They're a bad mix.
Yeah.
They're both crazy with each other, and for a long time, neither of them move on. Right. They both have other people, but neither of them move on. They're both obsessed with each other. They're both fucking constantly in each other's business and each other's shit and fighting, and they seem to like it.
I can see her side, too, because, I mean, she doesn't,
I can see both their sides.
She doesn't have much of a career, and she's used to this lifestyle. You want to latch on, and you want to try to find the good in somebody.
Well, that's the other thing, too.
Especially if you've fallen in love with him before you beat the shit out of you.
She has two kids with him, and they've been together at this point for 15 years.
Right.
So, I mean, she met him in 1977.
Right.
So, I mean, she had feathered Farrah Fawcett hair when they met. That's what we're talking. Yeah, that hair is rough. So, October 25th, 1993 is when there is a 911 call from Nicole to the house. This is the one that we've kind of all heard.
You know who he is. He's O.J. Simpson.
We'll give you the highlights here because you've only heard that part probably. Is you know who he is. He's O.J. Simpson. That's the big one out of that. Well, they're talking about it, and she says, can you send someone to my house? And they say, what's the problem? She says, my husband or ex-husband just broke into my house, and he's ranting and raving outside in the front yard. They said, has he been drinking or anything? She says, no, but he's crazy. Good enough. So they asked, do you have a restraining order? Did they hit you? Blah, blah, blah. They asked, what's your name? Nicole Simpson. So they put her on, they put out a domestic violence call for a patrol call to stop by. Right. She says about 50 seconds later, Nicole Simpson calls back and says, can you get somebody over here? He's back again. Yeah. So apparently he left and then came back, and the 911 said, what does he look like? And she said, he's O.J. Simpson. That's what he looks like. Looks like fucking Nordberg, okay?
You've been following the fucking Naked Gun?
That guy. Big giant fucking head. OJ. Might have Leslie Nielsen with him. We're not sure.
When's the last time you rented a Hertz?
Jesus Christ. I think you know his record. Just send somebody over.
There it is.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So they said, what's he doing here? And she's like, I don't fucking know. She's like, he just drove up. She says, can you just send somebody?
Right.
Do we need to discuss the reason why he's here? Can you just send somebody over? They said, what is he driving? She says, he's in a white Bronco. But first of all, he broke the back door down to get in. And she said, wait a minute, what's your name? And she says, Nicole Simpson, for Christ's sake. How fucking stupid are you people? You've been to my house 20 fucking times. He's leaping over suitcases. Old ladies like him. You know who the fuck he is, you assholes. So I give her credit just for keeping her shit together, because that would have been me on the phone.
Oh
I'm going to kill you people.
Right.
What's your name? I'm going to fucking rip your throat out when I get down there. You fucking asshole. So 911 said, okay, is he the sportscaster or whatever? She said, yeah, good, whatever, enough.
Deal. You nailed one.
You know who he is. Okay, so they
IMDb doesn't exist yet.
No, just look him up. So she says, is he threatening you? And she says, no, he's going nuts. And she says, is he threatening you or harassing you? And Nicole says, you're going to hear him in a minute. He's about to come in again. And this is when she says, I don't want to stay on the line. He's going to beat the shit out of me. And they say, well, we need to stay on the line, so it's on tape. So, if he's going to beat you either way. It's kind of what they said. She says, literally, wait a minute, just stay on the line so we can know what's going on until the police get there. Okay,
Brace
Nicole?
yourself, we need evidence.
If he's going to hit you, it's going to be whether the phone's on or not. So we might as well have evidence of it. I mean, not to be insensitive, I think is what 911 was saying. And Nicole, rightfully so, is like, let's not poke the bear.
Right.
I'm scared of this guy, obviously. So they said, does he have weapons? And she said, she said, I don't know. How the fuck do I know? She said, he went home. Now he's back. The kids are up there sleeping and I don't want anything to happen. So they ask if he's on drugs. She's like, no, I don't think so. He fucking showed up. What do I know if he's on drugs? He's outside. Jesus Christ. They ask her a bunch of dumb questions again. They send it out. The whole deal. She says he's in the backyard. She says that he's screaming at my roommate about me and at me. So, the roommate there. And I think that roommate, if I'm not mistaken, was Kato Kalin at the time.
Really?
Because Kato Kalin ended up moving in to help take care of the kids. That's how this whole thing started. And then when Nicole ended up moving to another place, the Bundy residence there, that's when she didn't have a guest house anymore.
Kato went to his house.
Well, OJ said, look, it's kind of weird. There's no guest house, because Kato was like watching the kids and kind of taking care of the house. Right. So he said, there's no guest house. It's kind of weird to sleep in the same house. It's like my ex-wife. It's not cool, but we're not kicking you out. You can come stay at my guest house. Because OJ's
the luckiest fuck in the world.
Absolutely. His pool house, he had like 4 apartments in the back of his house. There's like 4 guest houses all lined up together, and that's where he had a maid that lived in one. His daughter used to crash in one of them. Kato would use the other. So there's a lot of shit like that. So OJ's telling all that shit. So anyway, they're saying he's screaming. They're saying, what's he saying? Nicole says, quote, something about some guy I know and hookers and keys, and I started this shit before, and blah, blah, blah. And so Rambling.
He's
screaming and yelling,
and
this fucking bitch, and blah, blah, blah. And you'll hear him in the background. She says, now it's my fault. What am I going to do? Get the police here. She just wants the police there. She says, I don't need paramedics or whatever. She said, he broke my door. He broke the whole back door in. She said, he practically knocked my upstairs door down, but he pounded it and screamed and hollered, and I tried to get him out of the bedroom because the kids are sleeping in there. She said, he wanted somebody's phone number, and I gave him my phone book, or I put my phone book down to write the phone number that he wanted, and he took my phone book with all my stuff in it. So this is just a horrible fucking mess. The woman asked, is she on the phone? Is he upset with something you did? And she says, a long time ago. He always comes back. So it's like, it happens constantly. So then you can hear OJ at one point, and OJ says, I don't give a fuck anymore, bitch. That's what he says. That's the thing that you hear. And she says, would you please, OJ, could you please? And she just puts the phone down. She's asking him to leave. And he says, I'm not leaving. That's what you hear outside. He's fucking livid out there. This is when they talk about, it's not on this 911 call, but they talk about it later on, how you can hear it. OJ says that she was hooking up with some guy in the living room. That's why. So he had come and was like looking in the fucking window, watching her hook up with some guy in the living room. And how the fuck dare she do that when his kids are in the fucking house and blah, 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 blah. And he's going off on this whole thing. And it's like, dude,
at some point,
stop. Stop. Go home. You're not married to her anymore.
It's not your game anymore, bro.
It's not your fucking wife.
No.
She wants to blow people in the living room. It's her fucking prerogative. Right. That's it. If you didn't like it, you should have not beat her up and maybe had less prostitutes at John Roberts' house or something like, I don't know. There's a lot of things you could have done to make this not happen, but at this point, you can't do this shit.
It's happening and it's over. So
it's happening and it's over. So anyway, the police arrived. OJ's still there. He doesn't get arrested.
No,
he doesn't get arrested. He ends up admitting breaking the door and takes full responsibility and says he'll pay for it.
Okay.
And that's it. And because it's his property.
Wow.
Because he owns it.
Wow.
So they're like, well, he broke his own door down, really. You don't have a restraining order or anything against him. We don't know what the fuck to tell you. kind of shit out of luck at that point.
What's the restraining order going to do at this point? You know what I mean?
That's the thing. He doesn't give a shit. He blows right past fucking cops. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. So in 1992, he's in Adventures in Wonderland, which is a TV series. Then he's in Naked Gun 33 1/3, The Final Insult, which it was. He plays
certainly was.
Nordberg in 1994. Then he's in the unaired Frogmen TV movie, which you've probably seen footage of, because from this, this is where he apparently got a bunch of training in knife work and self-defense and all this different shit, because he's supposed to play like a
superhero frog.
No, frogmen, like guys that go underwater.
It's SEAL Team 6.
It's it's an hour-long pilot. It's an A-Team like adventure series in 1994. They had yet to not decided to whether or not they were going to order the series, and then later on they kind of decided.
Real amphibious.
OJ played the leader of a group of former Navy SEALs who received for this he received a bunch of military training, including knife training and hand-to-hand combat training and all this shit, so you look good doing stage combat in the show here. And there's a scene in which he holds the knife to a throat of a woman in the thing, and they said that was not allowed to be later on seen, because that doesn't look good.
It's a little too real.
It's a little on the nose, I would say here. It's a little on the fucking nose here. They said that at the time here, later on when he has legal troubles, they said that they didn't know whether they were going to air the pilot, but Warren Littlefield, who was the head of the network, said that if OJ were acquitted, Frogmen would probably be on the air before NBC Peacock could unfurl its plume. But not if he's found guilty, obviously. You can't have him, So now it's time at this point here to talk about the main thing that we don't want to talk about, that we want to avoid. And what we're going to do, we're going to do this. We are going to, first of all, I'm going to shut my monitor off here. I don't know how to do that.
Don't look at me, bud.
I don't know. I think I'll turn the whole computer off if I do that.
Just kick it over, James.
Tell you what, I'm going to turn it around. Okay. How's that? So, no monitor.
Yeah.
You see this?
There it is.
I am having Sarah live stream this. By the way, if you're on Instagram right now, at Small Town Murder on Instagram, get on there. We're live streaming this. We are going to do OJ in 5 minutes. No more than 5 minutes. I'm going to set my timer. I do not have a note. As you can see, I am looking at the back of a computer monitor. Sarah, can you proof here?
Yeah.
I have no notes, nothing before me.
That thing was expensive. Don't drop it.
No, I'm not. It's on there. Yeah, the whole computer's in there. It's just a monitor. So, we're going to do this. I'm going to put it on, and we're going to breeze through years of crazy shit and tons of details. This trial on YouTube is 436 parts.
Good Lord.
I watched them.
Really?
We're talking from the preliminary hearings that aren't even a trial. I watched. So
to get the facts straight.
Try to get the facts straight, and we've seen every OJ thing there is. Sarah sat there. We've gone over it. We've talked about it. So I am going to say this. If there is any fact, I'm sure there will be a factual miss thing here or there, or misremembering. Do not fucking tweet it at me. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Yeah, don't comment on it on the stream. Fuck you, OJ. If OJ wants to comment on it, he can. He'd be like, no, I actually did this with the knife. I'd say, cool, you can do that. Tell me about it all you want. So, yes. Instagram, we are about to do OJ murder and trial in 5 minutes with no notes. Okay, so this is in the Crime and Sports episode. No notes. It's the back of the monitor from memory. 5 minutes on the board here, and we are going to do this. By the way, I'll say this ahead of time. This happened on June 12th, 1994. So this path was set for me. My birthday is June 12th.
Happy birthday.
So this is the 25th anniversary this week of this particular thing happening, and it was really set for me to be this thing that we're doing now. Okay, let's do this. 5 minutes
on the clock.
Let's do this and go. Oop, go.
Oh, it's going.
No, it's not. There it goes. Okay. June 12th, 1994. Okay, here's what happened. Jesus Christ. Ron Goldman and Nicole Simpson are found dead outside of her place. It's a condo there, pretty close to OJ's house. Now, what they do is, first of all, they don't know why the hell these two are together. Right. The excuse from it was he was bringing a pair of sunglasses back to her, which we all know. I don't know if you've ever left anything in a restaurant, but no one's bringing you shit.
Nobody.
I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how blonde you are. No waiter is fucking getting off after his shift and doing that. He's too busy doing coke in the bathroom with some other waitress. So that's not fucking happening. Anyway, they do that shit. They don't know what to do. They've realized it's OJ's wife, which is a big deal because they all know OJ. They've all been over there for numerous domestic violence things. So they decide in the middle of the night they need to notify OJ, which wasn't really notifying OJ, but in my mind they use that as an excuse to go over there and try to see if OJ did it because they've been there 100 times. And the guy who said, I know right where OJ lives, one of the detectives, because he's been there for multiple domestic violence things. So they go there. They see nothing at first. They see nothing. So they climb over the fence because nobody fucking answers. But at this point, they use the excuse of, we don't know if this is a coordinated attack on his entire family. Maybe it's not just Nicole. Maybe it's OJ. Maybe it's Nicole. Maybe OJ's been attacked inside of his house and nobody can get to him. Yeah. And we're ringing the buzzer and he's in there bleeding to death. So we better go check. So they go over the wall, and to make sure the perimeter's secure, they have to go all around everything, which is when Mark Furman finds that bloody glove in the back, which is a huge property. You've seen the property, giant property. You know how small a bloody glove is in a ball in the middle of the fucking night, something that's black? They found it in the back in a corner behind a fucking guest house, okay? That's when Kato Kalin was alerted because they bumped into the guest house wall, woke Kato up.
Bump,
shit, here they come. Bump, bump. That's what he hears. Well, that's what he hears later. He said, I heard it from you guys, and I heard it earlier, too. When they ask him, they pull this poor guy in his underwear out. They pull him in. They take him back, whatever. He goes in. They end up, the whole thing, where the fuck is OJ? Where was OJ? Well, anyway, OJ was on a flight to Chicago. What ended up happening was a limo driver came to pick him up, rang the intercom, nobody answered. Then he saw a man rushing across the lawn, looked like a black guy about OJ's size, but it's the night, who knows, rang again. Now all of a sudden OJ answers the intercom and he's fucking home. Yeah. This is right after the time of the murders. He doesn't know. OJ says, I'm sorry, I was in the shower. Alternately, he says he was putting and chipping golf balls in his backyard. Either way, he comes out, gets on, goes to the airport, goes to Chicago, takes off. Some people have said they've seen him stuff a bag in a garbage can at the airport, but we never know. Okay. Anyway, he's bleeding from the finger. Later, when the police interview him the next day, they call him on the phone. He says, oh God, Nicole's died. Oh, that's terrible, whatever. Yeah. He gets back the next day. They interview him. He's got a bandage on his finger. They say, how'd you get that cut on your finger? Because, knife wounds and everything like that. Right. He says, oh, I cut myself on a glass in Chicago. And they said, oh, in Chicago, really? We found blood in the front of your house, all this shit. He goes, maybe I cut it here. I don't know. They go, okay, good. And they let him go home. Okay. OJ goes home. That's the way that works. He goes home. They end up going back. They end up talking to him multiple times. They cuff him one time. They make a big deal out of that. It's a huge offensive thing. Finally, they say that they are going to arrest him for this, and he needs to turn himself in. He says he's going to turn himself in. That's the whole big deal. He's ready to turn himself in. Next thing you know, he's fucking gone. Yeah. That's the Bronco chase. Yeah. It's Al Cowlings taking him, slipped out the back. Robert Kardashian there he's useless as a lawyer. He's got much better sperm, apparently, because he can make fucking kids at the drop of a fucking hat, right. But useless in the courtroom anyway. Anyway, he takes off. OJ needs a lawyer because they end up arresting him. It's a big cultural thing, as we see. Right. OJ needs a lawyer. He gets Robert Shapiro, ends up getting Johnny Cochran at OJ's request, who brings in F. Lee Bailey, who brings in every fucking Barry Scheck, Dershowitz from Harvard is working on the case. Everybody's working on the case. This whole thing works out. Basically, it's turned into, instead of a murder trial, it's turned into a trial on race and on this and on that. Right. DNA means shit because it's 1994. People don't even know what the fuck DNA is yet. They barely know. Your average person off the street has barely even seen that shit on Law & Order because they wouldn't put it on Law & Order script because no one would know what the fuck it is because it's DNA and it's very scientific. So they all hear that shit and they go, that sounds like some white people trickery for saying fucking OJ did some shit is what that is. So that ends up happening. The whole trial goes down. It's more about Marcia Clark should be fucking embarrassed, first of all. Marcia Clark, Christopher Darn, they put a goddamn glove on the guy for no fucking reason when you have goddamn DNA evidence giving him a plausible visual fucking out. Marcia Clark has no control over the goddamn case. She should be fucking embarrassed. She shouldn't have a goddamn career right now. Her fucking legacy is failure. You are a fucking failure.
She's on TV.
You got a TV show about the law. What are you fucking kidding me? You're a failure. You know shit about shit. Anyway, in the end, it all comes down and he's fucking acquitted.
Unbelievable.
Acquitted. He walks out a free man, riots in the street, and it did more probably to raise white supremacist Nazism than both Waco and Ruby Ridge. 5 minutes. Boom.
Done.
And that's OJ's murder trial.
Unbelievable.
In a nutshell.
Thank you, Ruby Ridge.
Thank you. So OJ started the modern asshole.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I feel like
that's how courtroom antics and courtroom trickery began. That was the trial of the century for
it's just on
making
TV.
It a circus and redirecting attention away from what is clearly fucking obvious. All into something that trying to just misdirect.
And one thing I will admit to is when the verdict came down, October 3rd, 1995. It's the only thing I have a note on.
Yeah.
I remember it because I was in English class in high school, and the phone rang in the room, and the teacher says it was before cell phones. So the teacher says, "Do you want to know the outcome of the OJ trial?" And we all said yes.
Yay!
And they said not guilty, and we went yay, and the whole class cheered, and our teacher looked at us like we were fucking animals.
Legal murder.
She was like, "What the fuck?" But it wasn't about that, though, for us. We didn't care if it was about...
It was just fuck the system.
It was about fuck the system, exactly what it was. And that was, for a lot of people, what it was about. And unfortunately, the whole, if you're Nicole Brown and you're a dead person who got wrapped up in that, that's not really fair.
Right.
The other thing I'd like to quickly talk about here afterwards is in 1997 is the civil suit, the civil lawsuit brought by the Goldmans and the Simpsons and the Browns, and this basically he gets convicted here, I guess you would say. He is found guilty of wrongful death. Yeah, found liable for damages in a civil wrongful death suit to Fred Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson, or Nicole Brown's family. This I have to say, and this is going to be fucking offensive or whatever, and I don't give a shit. I honestly don't care because I've had to look at this guy for 25 fucking years. I cannot stand Fred Goldman.
Oh, he's a monster.
I fucking hate his face. I feel horrible that his son, that's horrible. That has nothing to do with Ron. That's horrible. But the way he reacted to it made him impossible to sympathize with. Impossible. Which is, for your child to be murdered and to not be able to evoke sympathy, like, you have to be fucking really dislikable. Like, when you watch the trial, and I've watched the fucking trial, like I said, the Brown family, they're just watching it like they're horrified by the whole thing.
Happening.
They're just like in shock, and they're just so, you can tell they're just so fucking crushed that Nicole's gone, that this is like, they have to be here, but none of this really matters.
Right.
Because the plot is lost anyway. Nicole's gone. Yeah. Fred Goldman, on the other hand, looks like, this is my moment to shine.
Right.
I've been waiting for my son to die for years. I know that's not what he says, but he grandstands. Yeah. The fucking speeches he made are ridiculous.
Right.
You don't fucking do that. Act sad, okay?
But we wouldn't have any idea who
I'm sorry, it's just so fucking annoying.
Not like,
not in a bad way. No,
but Fred has, that's the only thing that he has that makes him like recognizable. And that's got to be fucking horrific.
But Jesus, you think you wouldn't want to be recognizable for that?
Yeah, that's my point.
You think you'd get yourself a normal mustache and recede into the fucking background, not stand out like a fucking lunatic. He looks like a fucking circus barker. He's crazy. It's insane. I'm sorry, but the spectacle he put on during the trial and his feelings are 100% righteous, and I get it. But the spectacle he put on did not make himself a sympathetic figure. Right. It made you almost go, Jesus, like, bro, fucking
love your kid for once.
Yeah, talk about how great Ron was and how much you miss him. Not the vengeance you want to seek on O.J. Simpson, because that's how he used to talk, and it was like, dude, you sound sicker than him. I want to lock you up, not him, because you're dangerous, bro.
Exactly.
I feel like, unless you're married to this guy for years, he probably won't kill you, but I'm not sure about you. The only thing I can say that is interesting, though, about that is, how weird would it be? His son doesn't know O.J. Simpson.
Right.
So it's not like he's like he knows his kid hangs out with OJ all the time, and the police called him up and said, your son's been killed, and he went, oh my God, and they said, we think it's OJ Simpson. Oh, they were just fishing last weekend. What do you mean? O.J. Simpson's a famous person.
They're not in each other's worlds.
He's a waiter, this guy. And he gets a call saying, your son's been murdered. What happened? Well, we think O.J. Simpson stabbed him to death. What?
Unless he was up for the part of Nordberg at some time. They're not, because he was a struggling actor too, right?
But wouldn't you do, or a model? Wouldn't you just go, like, Kato was the actor. Wouldn't you just go like, how the fuck does my kid know O.J. What?
How do they run
Jimmy,
into each other?
Your son is, what is he, 11 now?
Yeah.
11. Okay, let's say in 10
murdered
years,
by Steph Curry?
murdered by Emmett Smith.
What?
Your son, you get a phone call that just says, Jimmy, your son's been murdered by Emmett Smith. You go, how the fuck does my son know Emmett Smith? What? Why Emmett Smith? Why? What?
Yeah.
How? What? Did he try to rob Emmett Smith? And Emmett Smith, what the fuck happened? How did Emmett Smith kill him? This makes no fucking sense.
And
it'd be the weirdest thing in the world to get that. I don't understand. Through the trial, that would have been me every press conference. I don't understand what happened.
How did they meet?
He doesn't even know. Oh, I don't get it. I'm very confused.
The trial's a good point in society that it shows and illustrates real clearly that everybody fucking grieves differently. You know what I mean?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I think that's what Fred was really pointing.
I'm sure
they wasn't doing it on purpose, but it sure shows. It shines right.
Right through.
You see the people that accept that she's dead and gone and would like to see justice, and then you see the other side of like, let's fucking line him up and beat him.
And then there was his daughter, who now has a podcast actually about this whole thing.
Oh my God,
his daughter is the redheaded, very freckled girl.
Yeah.
It was always in like a weird flowery Mennonite dress, standing next to him. She's a teenager at the time. I mean, it's not her fault. She's just a sad girl whose brother died.
Fred did that to her.
Yeah, I'm sure. And Fred's always got his armor. I thought that was Fred's wife for a long time. I was like, Jesus, his wife is young. And then they were like, oh, that's his daughter during one of the trials. I was like, oh boy, that's creepy, because he's always got his arm around her in a weird way.
And she's just sitting
not
there
that I'm saying that.
grieving.
It's just the whole thing just looked.
Yeah.
And it's not like they shouldn't. What are they going to have, a PR person or some sort of personal stylist or something to make them look more appealing? They weren't. They were just people grieving. I get that, but it came across poorly, is what I'm getting at. And then Fred Goldman could be the nicest, most wonderful man in the world. A lot of people think he's an asshole just because of his.
I've been told too.
And he lives in town, and we've actually heard he is an asshole.
Yeah,
so it's kind of funny there. Not funny, but it's. Sometimes, it makes fucking sense. Exactly. Now, Simpson is ordered to pay $33.5 million in damages.
Whoa.
Which is a shitload and more money than he fucking has.
Okay.
By far.
Yeah.
He doesn't have $33.5 million. This includes the Goldman families and the Coles families are going to split the proceeds from an auction that auctioned off a shitload of his personal belongings, including his Heisman Trophy, which got auctioned off. By the way, that got rejected from the Smithsonian. That and his suit that he was wearing when he got acquitted. When they said not guilty, they offered that to the Smithsonian, and they said, no, thanks.
No,
they literally said, we're all right. We get that it's a major American moment, but
we'd like to wash our hands.
We're kind of filthy. That's all right. Now, do you have anything that Ted Bundy wore, possibly, though? That will take.
Have you got the knife?
That would be something. So 1999, the state of California issues a tax lien against him for personal income taxes that he owes. He's got problems there. February 16th, 1999, an auction house sells nearly $400,000 worth of his shit to pay to the Goldman and Brown families. His Heisman Trophy was more than half of that total, and even his personalized golf bags, which fetched $2,200 a piece.
Really?
In the late 90s, he attempted to register O.J. Simpson, O.J., and the Juice as trademarks for, quote, a broad range of goods, including figurines, trading cards, sportswear, medallions, coins, and prepaid telephone cards. Would you buy a prepaid phone card from O.J.?
Nope.
Fuck. A, quote, concerned citizen named William B. Ritchie sued to oppose the granting of federal registration on the grounds that doing so would be immoral and scandalous. He ended up giving up the effort, OJ did, in 2000 and left California for Florida. He just gave up and left. He settles in Miami. Why? Because Florida is one of the few states in the union where pensions and residences cannot be seized to collect debts under any circumstances.
That's
so
horrible.
Can't touch his NFL pension, can't touch his house down in Florida. That's why he went down there. September 2000, OJ's girlfriend, Christine Prodi, calls police, alleging that OJ has broken into her home. No charges are filed.
None.
What?
Yeah.
What?
That's crazy.
It's OJ. You'd think they'd be like, anything if he goes near a woman, they're putting cuffs on him, asking questions later.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, we're cuffing you. This would be one of 4 times the police were dispatched to handle domestic incidents between this couple. So that's 9 and 10. And it was like, he's up to like 20 times he's had the cops called on him for domestic issues. September 5th, December 5th, 2000, OJ is arrested on battery battery and auto burglary charges after a road rage incident with another motorist, a guy named Jeffrey Pattinson. Apparently, he ripped this guy out of his car, yelled at him, and smacked him around and knocked the glasses off his face. And roughed him up a bit and pulled him out of his car. So it's an auto burglary. It's basically carjacked him, even though he didn't take his car, and smacked him around a bit. And apparently knocked his glasses off his face and shit like that.
Jesus.
He doesn't get it.
No.
He doesn't fucking get it.
No.
That's the thing. But he just doesn't fucking get it. So he goes and he sits down in Florida, in fucking Miami, in the heat and sweats. It's a fucking mess. Yeah. He's sitting there trying to figure out how to not be OJ, not be the most hated man in fucking America. Because he went from the most beloved man to he has the famous quote of saying when they said, OJ, the race in this country now is like white people are pissed and black people. He said, quote, I'm not black, I'm OJ. That's a famous quote that he said to his lawyer. And they looked at him like, you're black now, motherfucker. Right. Like, that's a famous Chris Rock joke. Well, you're black now. Because guess what? White people want to put you in jail. So you've just became black.
Side forever.
Yeah. So he's down there, and finally he's just like he's losing friends. People don't like him. He's just needs a lifeline to somebody, and he does get somebody. A friend of his comes over and knocks on the door, and it's the Mexican pimp. Look at that.
Original.
And he says, how is it you've come to arrive here? No, I need to know how, because you are no Willie Mays Akins. This is a Miami estate. It is beautiful. Hold on. I have someone else from the car who comes in. I have someone else here. I will not. I serve you nothing. No. You have cocaine. We talk a little bit. Mishwara man have problem. But other signs say closed. You ever come? You not welcome. Fort Lauderdale off limit. To you, I not come. Hold on. Stop it. Stop. It's my turn. You are white trash, mister. I'm sorry. Killing your wife on her front porch? White trash. That is trash, mister. Breaking down doors, yelling in your bathrobe in the driveway while police talk to your battered wife. I'm sorry. It does not get any more white trash than that, sir. I'm sorry. By the way, happy Pride Month all. It's wonderful. Hey, well, hold on. It's my turn now. How you doing? I got the dogs here for you, but you ain't getting none of my fucking dogs. I'll tell you that right. I don't even want them around you. A dog couldn't help you. That's how much of a shitty person you are.
This dog found a bloody glove.
Hey, dog, stay out from behind there. No, don't go in. There might be DNA. Hold on. Now, I already checked back there. I was looking at his shit pipes. And his shit pipes are clogged. Let me tell you something, Bobby. You could send the dogs back there all you want, but the shit pipes are clogged. They're overflowing. This guy's shit pipes of life are overflowing. He's a fucking mess, this guy. Oh, no, make way. She's coming through. My, you son of a bitch. My, you lousy bastard. My, why you do that? I know like you would. I wouldn't even make you the food. No. I say you starve. What you say? Sign say closed. Sign say closed. I tell you that for him. He say that. That's right, motherfucker. I'm here. Yeah, that's right. You didn't expect me, motherfucker? Blaxploitation film actor and MMA superstar Estevez Jones? I just got one thing to say. One motherfucking thing to say. Man, I knew you wasn't guilty. I told everybody. I said, oh, my man didn't do shit. They're persecuting my man. Man, fuck that shit. I knew better. I said, that's right. Not motherfucking guilty. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, fuck you, Dexter. What the fuck you say? That's right. No, fuck you. You sit in the second row of the van. I'll sit in the third seat. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, we'd be cruising around. Wait. Wait 1 minute. He's mine. He's an athlete.
Wait, fuck.
He hits women. I can get him to hit I can get him to hit a woman with a chair, probably. He'll do it. And juice is, who knows more about juice than me? I'm 73 years old and my lats are bigger than John Cena's. Who knows more about juice than me?
Sweet Christ.
OJ, one question for you. What size overalls are you, big guy? What size overalls? Get that shirt off. You're coming with me, buddy. That's right. Everybody else out of the car. It's me and OJ. And poof. They all disappear.
What do you want to bet he tries wrestling next?
They actually considered bringing him in after the trial.
Unbelievable.
They considered it and they went, that's too much.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon went too far. That tells you something right there.
Wow.
So we needed everybody to talk to him. Everybody's been sick of him. October 24, 2001, he's cleared of all road rage incident charges.
Okay,
they end up
smacking the guy.
Yeah, they clear that all out. We don't know if that was made up or what.
Yeah.
But he's not out of trouble. December 4th, 2001, FBI, DEA, and other local law enforcement agencies searched Simpson's home for evidence that he might be involved in an ecstasy smuggling ring, as well as money laundering and a coordinated effort to steal satellite TV signals. Jesus. What the fuck are you doing?
He's hijacking TV now?
This Sardines 3.0? What the fuck are you doing? Satellite TV signals? Come on, OJ.
Wow.
Jesus. They find nothing at the search. He's not arrested or indicted, but some of his satellite equipment's confiscated, though. The FBI said it was in a connection to a 2-year investigation into money laundering and drug distribution. They said that the attorney said that they confiscated some satellite television equipment that he had brought from California, but they didn't find drugs or illegal substances like that. He said his client's name, his lawyer says that OJ's name was spoken on a wiretap of an unrelated drug investigation. And that's how this happened. He said, quote, his name just popped up. It wasn't his voice. It was his name. Okay. He's fine. He's good now, obviously. He said it's probably the result of Simpson's notoriety. That's all it is. You know, everybody's in it. How many times have they searched your house for an ecstasy? Everybody is always thinking of money laundering. He said that there was a person who spoke Simpson's name and was not in Simpson's close circle of friends, though. They said that they searched his home. They had a federal search warrant. It was in connection with Operation X, which is an investigation into the distribution of ecstasy and the laundering of $800,000 and signal theft for their fraudulent satellite access cards is what they were doing. That's when they used to have the DirecTV cards that you'd fucking put in the thing. Wow, that's old school. Now, 12 people were charged in connection with the allegations and 10 people were arrested. Simpson said he doesn't even know anybody in the scheme. His lawyer says, quote, I can assure you that Mr. Simpson doesn't have enough cash in his pocket or in his bank account to ever be involved in any type of money laundering. So he's just this poor...
He doesn't have any to launder.
Down on his luck guy, man. He's got nothing here. He said, normally in law enforcement here in the Southern District, we don't have 30 or 40 agents raid someone's house because there's an allegation they have a satellite card. Yeah. Well, when they're OJ, they do. Sorry. Certainly. You've earned your reputation, sir. So they appeared at his door. 6 a.m. they got to his door and everything like that. So he says he wasn't angry with the authorities for raiding his house. He's got to act like he's Mr. Turn the Other Cheek now. He says, quote, the lawyer said, quote, he's used to this type of thing in his life. The guy hasn't done anything wrong. He's just used to persecution. Persecution. Now, months later, the FBI ends up, there's a bunch of testimony that drug smugglers regarded OJ's allegedly insatiable cocaine habit and acquaintanceship with prominent dealers. That's why his name came up in the FBI report said later on, his name kept coming up in wiretaps because he was such a fucking coke fiend that all the dealers talk about him. Like, isn't it crazy how much coke OJ buys? That's why. How many other customers do you think they were fucking discussing their prolificness with? That's how much he likes coke, this fucking guy. Now, July 4th of July, 2002, OJ is cited for speeding on a powerboat through a manatee zone.
Wow.
Just
he doesn't even give a fuck about anything. Fuck sea cows.
Fuck women. Fuck manatees. I don't give a shit about kids. Fuck the police.
Wow.
Fuck them all.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. So an arrest warrant is issued since he missed his court hearing for the ticket he got, and he paid a $130 fine in the end for that. July 26, 2005, OJ loses a civil trial brought by DirecTV over signal theft charges that stemmed from the 2001 incident. He's remanded to pay $25,000 to the satellite company.
Wow.
He wasn't arrested, but he got found responsible for signal theft. So he was involved in a signal theft ring. You fucking asshole liar.
How about that? He keeps getting off criminally, but
it's amazing.
Civilly, they bust his balls.
Civilly, civilly, it's a 50-50. If you're 51% guilty, you're guilty.
Yeah.
Where it's beyond reasonable doubt. There's different threshold for guilt or innocence. That's why he was found guilty in the civil trial for the murder.
Sure.
Was that there? So he tries to make Juiced in 2006, which I'm sure everyone's heard about. Is an improv. It was a hidden prank show. It was like his version of Punked.
Unbelievable.
Where he would shout, "You've been juiced," instead of punked. One episode here. Each episode opened with topless dancers dancing around OJ, who's dressed as a pimp.
God, Jesus.
By the way, he has his own rap song at that point.
He's an asshole.
Would you like to hear lyrics?
No, yes.
From the song?
Yes.
You do, Jimmy. You looked at me. No, but your eyes were lit up.
I hate it, but I gotta know.
Quote, "Don't you know there's no stopping the juice? When I'm on the floor, I'm like a lion on the loose. Better shoot me with a tranquilizer dart." Sure. Everybody would like to. Love to. Don't be stupid. I'm not a Simpson named Bart.
Oh, boy.
You know it. You knew it was coming. Bart. You knew it was coming. He tries to sell the white Bronco in the most famous one, and some guy shows up to buy it, and they're like, "It's OJ there." And the people aren't even like, they're not like fucking like, "Oh shit, you got me." Like in Punk, they'd be like, "Oh damn, shit, I didn't see Austin was about to kick dude's ass," or whatever. This, they just be like, "What?
Yeah.
Oh, why? Okay. So why is OJ here? I'm very
no deal."
But they're like, they didn't want to meet OJ. They're all like very uncomfortable to be around OJ. And that first moment is captured on film of them like afraid of OJ.
Oh my God, it's you.
Not like, "Oh, you played a prank on me." They're like, "Oh God, Jesus, it's OJ. Are you going to kill me? What's happening? Why is he here? Have you been fucking my wife? What's going on?"
Unbelievable.
So, in another one, Simpson, he pretends to be having an affair with another man's girlfriend, and then he pretended to cut her head off, which was, he didn't. He didn't actually pretend to cut her head off.
James.
No. This aired as a one-time pay-per-view special. Someone out there,
$5.99.
If you paid money to watch this on pay-per-view, please hit us up on social media and tell us why. Now, this was released on DVD later also, and it's out there. Now, I mean, that's terrible. I would not want to be in one of those sketches. No, he's left just a wake of girlfriends and people and satellite companies and dead fucking wives and fucking dead waiters and an ex-wife who's so happy she got out of this in 1977.
Oh, how lucky does she feel?
She feels great. All of this, I mean, he has just been a boil on the ass of society. I feel bad for everybody, Jimmy, for all of these people, but not nearly as bad as I feel for Orenthal Simpson, marketing manager in the greater Memphis area. Orenthal Simpson, an electrician at Eckerd Electric Company in the greater Atlanta area. It's a construction and electric company. Orenthal Simpson, landscape architect in the greater Salt Lake City area. And finally, this guy I don't even feel bad for. His name is Jerome Simpson, and he goes by OJ.
Why do you do that?
No. Your name's not fucking Orenthal. Don't go by just Jerome Simpson's fine. He is Jerome, quote, OJ Simpson.
Asshole.
He is the president and CEO of a construction company in Jacksonville, Florida.
Of course it's Jacksonville.
Most likely an asshole, but I'm not sure. So, 2004, he's in a short film called The Lemon Twist. And 2008, he's in some courtroom parody thing, TV horseshit. So, 2007, this is the Simpson and Five Men here. We'll buzz through this quick because this is another one of this bullshit. Simpson and Five Men here. They confront these memorabilia dealers, these guys named Alfred Beardsley and Bruce Fromong at the Palace Station Hotel in Vegas. Basically, there's a guy, and I've read there's a book about this whole thing. There's a guy who's working as an informant setting him up the whole time. He's being set up to do this the whole time. They basically steal his shit and then basically taunt him about it and get him to want to come get it back, and then they get the cops. It's a setup for him the whole time here. But still, OJ and his friends come in with fucking guns and pull guns on these guys. Once you pull a gun on someone and start taking their shit, then it's armed robbery. They're not allowed to leave, so it's kidnapping. You start stacking your
assault with a deadly weapon,
all that shit. Two of the five men later said they had guns. So he gets arrested and charged with kidnapping, armed armed robbery, the whole deal, like we said. 4 co-defendants take plea deals and testify for the prosecution.
Wow.
He's the kingpin because it was all his shit.
Right.
That's the thing.
They had no interest in this stuff.
No, they were doing this because he was telling them to, or probably paying them to, or whatever. But this is one of those things where it's like it's his shit, but he didn't own it at the time. So it was sort of his.
It's not his anymore.
It's such a fucking the morality of it is real milky, but the fact is either way you can't go into a Vegas hotel room with guns blazing and hold people hostage while you decide whether the shit's yours or not. So so him and a co-defendant in 2008, they go on trial. He's represented by a pretty damn good attorney too. The jury finds them guilty on all 12 charges, including kidnapping, armed robbery, conspiracy, coercion, burglary, assault with a deadly weapon. A lot of shit. None of that shit's good. No. December 2008, this is sentencing. Finally, OJ has done so much shit. Never gone to jail for shit. Judge Jackie Glass says to Simpson, "You, sir, may fuck off." With all of her might, she says this. 9 to 33 years in prison.
That's so much.
At least 9. Yeah. Stewart, his co-defendant, gets 7 to 27 there. So, that is that. Wow, what a fucking mess here. So, August 2009, a judge orders several items taken from the Las Vegas hotel room to be returned to Simpson, because a lot of that shit was his.
How about that?
That was the thing. It was his, but you can't pull a gun on someone in their hotel room to get even your stuff back.
Right.
If someone comes and robs you at gunpoint, takes your stuff, you still can't go then rob it back at gunpoint. That's not legal.
Right.
If they have put the gun away, then you can't take a gun out and hold it on them. At that point, it's kidnapping and armed robbery. There's just no...
Having a gun in Vegas is crazy, too.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
You don't fucking want to have a gun there.
Have we seen Tupac?
Yeah,
no.
Right? Jesus.
Bad things happen. So, so they, an attorney for the Goldman estate gets these items to auction, basically. So he's getting his shit back to give to Fred Goldman. So, 2010, Nevada Supreme Court denies his appeal.
Yeah.
Tell him to go fuck his mother. By the way, his mother died in 2001.
Poor Eunice.
Poor Eunice. His father died, I believe, in 93, right before the whole incident there. May 2012, he's got a new appellate lawyer, woman here, Patricia Palm. She files a writ of habeas corpus here, seeking his release from prison and reversal of his conviction, alleging ineffective assistance of counsel and appellate counsel. And Nevada, 2012, Nevada Supreme Court rejects the bid to disqualify the district attorney's office from handling the case. October 2012, they agree to hear 19 of 22 grounds for relief. July 31st, 2013, he is granted granted parole for good behavior on 5 of his 12 convictions. So he'll be eligible for release in 2017, not 2013. So November of 2013, his appeal for a new trial is denied. They said that all grounds in the petition lack merit, and you're an asshole, I might add. And July 20th, 2017, finally, the parole board decides to grant O.J. Simpson parole. He's released October 1st, 2017, after serving almost 9 years in prison. And he's been out acting like an asshole ever since. And he's done so much. He's done interviews where he's been a dick. He did that fucking interview where he basically admitted to killing fucking Nicole. Just talked about it in the third person. And we skipped over a lot, dude. We know about the, if I did it, I've read that fucking book. It's a load of shit, and the Goldmans get the profits for it. The whole book is like, how can I get people to buy a book by saying I killed her without saying I killed her?
And give money back to them and try to wash my hands of this shit.
Well, no, he tried to not give the money to them. They had to sue him for it and that whole thing. There's all that. Also, the Faye Resnick book. Faye Resnick is Nicole Brown's friend who he's the one, when OJ says Nicole owed money to drug dealers and this and that, it's all about Faye Resnick. It's all about Faye Resnick owed money, and because Faye was super into coke apparently back then, and she doesn't deny that. And Nicole liked the coke. They all liked fucking coke. They're a bunch of rich people in LA in the 80s and 90s. They liked coke.
Coke was the shit.
Yeah, so that was Faye Resnick is her friend, and she wrote a book saying what an awful person OJ was and all about his exploits and detailed shit about, in their marriage and tons of cocaine stuff and all that type of shit. But I figured I'd skip over the two salacious books and concentrate. You don't even need it.
No.
See what I mean? You don't even fucking need it. So, like 2 days ago, he says, quote, I want to stress, never in any way, shape, or form have I ever had any interest in Kris Jenner romantically or sexually, and I never got any indication that she had any interest in me. So all of these stories are just bogus, bad, and tasteless. He says, Bob Kardashian was like a brother to me. He was a great guy. He met and married Kris, and they really had a terrific time together when they were together. Unfortunately, that ended. But never, and I want to stress, never in any way, shape, or form have I had any interest in Kris romantically or sexually. I never got any indication she had any interest in me. These stories are just bogus, bad, and tasteless. And he said, Chloe, like all the girls, I'm very proud of, just like I know Bob would be if he was here. The simple fact of the matter is she is not mine.
Okay,
so
why does she have running back shoulders?
And his face, too, but still, yeah.
Why is she so big?
And then she looks like a football player. Yeah, she looks like OJ in a girl form. And that's not an insult or anything. And they did that. They talked about in this article how they did a 23andMe on the Kardashians showing like, see, it's like, they can't fucking fake that. You can't just take out a piece of paper and go, see, you're fucking, that works. It's fine. So I don't know if she is or not, and I don't really care, but it's kind of funny just to say that she is, because fuck them and him. Fuck them all. Yeah. How does she run? See her run for a touchdown.
I don't know. She bangs huge basketball stars. She's probably bow-legged.
Maybe, yeah, by now. So today, OJ says he's happy and healthy. He had a phone interview with the Associated Press. He says, quote, we don't need to go back and relive the worst day of our lives. The subject of the moment is the subject I will never revisit again. Talking about the murder.
Yeah.
My family and I have moved on to what we call the, quote, no negative zone.
Okay.
We focus on the positives, like not my headless ex-wives.
Like I'm out of jail.
Like, that. I've been to Florida 2 or 3 times to see the kids and my old buddies in Miami. I've even managed to play a game of golf with them, but I live in a town I've learned to love. Life is fine.
Yeah.
Somehow, life is fine for this asshole, which is a terrible way to end it. Can't get enough of OJ? Follow him on Twitter, because he just fucking signed up like an asshole. He signed up. Now, you want to say that society is crumbling because he's got 650,000 followers in a week. But most of those people are there to see what kind of a disaster he is and to troll him, I'm sure, and to make fun of anything he posts. So I get it why you're following him if you are. It's, what is it, at the real OJ
32.
Yeah, there's a parody one too, but it says it's the one with 650,000 followers. But the funny thing is, he's a Hall of Famer, a national champion, a movie star, Nordberg, Monday Night Football. You fucking name it. This guy has done it. I'm verified and he's not. Eat a dick, OJ Simpson. Eat a fucking fat cock. Motherfucker. We got to make fun of you for fucking 3 hours and then say that you're not even verified. You fucking asshole. Take that shit.
Unbelievable.
That's OJ.
Wow.
Told you guys we'd do it in a different, unique way. We say we're not going to just jump in and be like, we're going to talk about the trial for 2 hours and then we're going to talk. No, we're 5 minutes on the trial, a couple of cultural things about the trial. But other than that, we made it. Basically, I tried to say, what would a crime and sports episode be without that trial?
There it is.
I looked at it and went, OJ would be a great fucking episode, trial or no.
Pretty much deleted it anyway.
It's 5 minutes. Yeah. That's it. So that's that. Hope you liked that.
I hope so.
If you did, I know what you can do about it. Yeah. You can go over to Apple Podcasts and you can give us 5 stars. That would be very, very helpful. Those reviews count enormously for us. So please do that. Doesn't matter what you say. Say you're following instructions or directions. Please go to shutupandgivememurder.com and look for those live crime and sports tickets. Fucking live. I don't care if you live anywhere around Phoenix. If you can fucking get here.
Goddamn show.
I'm going to tell you the other thing. This is a small venue. It's not the venue we did Small Town Murder at last time, which is like 550 seats. This is a 300-seat small fucking club, and we want this shit to be heaving. We want to sell the fucker out in a week and make everybody go, damn, we can book crime and sports live, and then we can go out and do more crime and sports on the road because it's a crazy show. And I promise you, I swear that will be the craziest shit you've ever seen. I'll do New Jack. Put it that way. I'll tell you right now, it's going to be fucking New Jack, who is an insane wrestler who I have footage of him stabbing someone, literally. So come to that shit, and you can see all of that. Please get out there and do all of that. Follow us on social media. We're at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram, as you might know from following it earlier. Do that. Also, if you want to be a hero, and these people really are fucking heroes, man, because rain or shine every day, they just help us out. They're like the mailmen, but they give us things. They're awesome people. And
the best part is that, like, I'm going through life stuff. Like, it's difficult being me, and
who isn't?
Changing my whole lifestyle, trying to be a better person, and you guys have made that happen. You've changed my life, and thank you so much. I wouldn't be where I am today without all of you, so thank you.
I agree. I concur. Same thing here.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys make it so we can have a fucking life and actually do these shows and try to do the best job we can. So thank you guys for helping making us human beings and adults, and thank you guys for that. And if you want to be one of these people who has been so wonderful to us and part of our crew, our producer crew, who we talk about so lovingly at the end of the show here, you can do that very easily by going to patreon.com/crimeinsports. Or if you can't do that, head over to PayPal and use our email address, which is crimeinsports@gmail.com. That's how you make a one-time donation there, and that's every dime is damn appreciated. Jimmy, I mean, I don't even know how to say this to you. Hit me like a knife to the throat, like a fucking hand to the neck, like a coke binge to the nose, like a fucking pack of hookers to a bedroom, like a wheelchair to the airport. Hit me like all those things and tell me these people's names right now.
This week's executive producers are Calvin Donnell, Amy Spicer, Josh Smith, who is an Army soldier, and his brother... Josh Smith donated because of his Army soldier brother, Zach Smith. That's what happened.
Oh, cool.
Thanks very much.
Thanks to both of you.
Natalie Murath, yes. Cameron Kushwara, Jimmy, Amy, and Marissa Crawford. Those are three people. Jonathan Gottlieb, Justin Miller, Ashton Weinberger, Robert Aldred. Thank you guys so much for what you guys do. We can't do this thing without you. The rest of our producers this week are Natalie Nicole Guifaro, Catherine Judd, Elizabeth Yarwood, Jonathan Ostrowski, Jessica McPhail, Chris Voss, Troy Graham, Aaron Taylor, Josh Cole, Mark McLean, Aaron Nolas. Oh, no last name. That's not his last name.
You're like, no last name? Nolas Nami. Thank you.
Thomas Smith, Emmanuel Christian, Lula Wadham. Yes, Lula Wadham. Chelsea Morgan. Yes. Taylor Beams. What is this? What did I do? Oh, happy birthday, Alex Richardson, from his wife, Alyssa. Thank you very much.
Happy birthday, you fucker.
Penn Basingwaith. Yes. Carl Hellier, Alyssa. Oh, that's Alyssa. Retta Ekstrom. That's what it is. Natalie Elrod, Brittany Hancock, Michelle Kolb, Audrey Martinezzi, Keely Weiss, Lonnie Hall, Dan McPhee, Erica Larmont, Tyler Gwill, Eric Showers, Alyssa Sylvester, Jen Stoner. Is that right? Yeah. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Dylan Arseb. Oh, what have I done? I'm so sorry. Arst? No. I don't know what the last name is. Sorry, Dylan. Rachel Bailey Sims, Michelle Nguyen, Mary Palmer, Lindsay Trotter, Morgan Sam, Courtney Divan, Amanda Nordby, Jillian Whitson, Allison Hutley, Jennifer Cox, Allison Morris, Carmel Puttyfoot, Tanya Enns. Damn it. It's one of those. Lauren Demarath, Ryan Milligan, Aradia Nightingale, Teresa Thomas, John Jackson.
Nice name.
It is. Sada.
Not Tom Jackson, Aradia Nightingale.
Yeah, John Jackson.
Sorry, John.
Sada Bwilder, I think it is. I can't read.
Sodom?
No, SATA.
Oh, Sada.
Oh, B. Wilder. That's what it is.
Okay.
Sada Wilder. That's it.
They said Sodom Wilder. I'm like, okay.
Kimberly McCarthy, sure. Bridget Helgoth, Evie Rose, Stephen Rude, Lauren O'Brien, Jeffrey Smith, Callie Shinkunis, Richie Heyman, Jasmine Berninger, Stephanie Igoa, Ryan Anderson, Liv Browning, Brendan Abels, Kelly Reed, Jamie Schaefer, Casey Handel, Ashley Wells, Lanny Blunk, Rob Madursky. That's that fellow that came down. He was a trucker. I forget. He brought his daughter, I think, in Detroit.
I know him. Yeah.
Rob. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks,
Teacup
brother.
with no last name. Joshua Bain, Paul Ruest, Andrea Weir, Liz Vasquez, Max Joshua, Kate Olson, Jesse Hartman, Lee Coons, The Fridge. I doubt it's The Fridge.
Let's hope so.
But, yeah.
Thanks, Fridge.
Reagan Shalkley, Catherine Judd.
Whole number 72 coming through for us. Huh?
Stephanie Smichael, Francis Hitsky, Mark Foster, Baron Leisure Pool, Molly Hewitt, Fabio Raimondi, last ones, running home stretch. Robin Anderson, Trey Valkanar, Brian Sutherland, Peyton Meadows, Calvin Mingione, it's Italian, I'm sure.
Hey, Mingione.
Luis Dorward, Ryan Shank, Kaylee Kirsch, Anthony Canella, Mary Stewart, David Albery, and Ashley Vio, and of course all of our Patreon donors. Thank you guys so much for everything you do. We can't do it without you.
Thank you, everybody, from the bottom of our cold, dead, crusted hearts.
You really make this possible, and the life-changing things that are going
truth,
on.
Man.
It's really incredible. I'm
Thank
super
you guys.
humbled and thankful for all of you.
And it's not just you guys who donate money either.
Yeah.
It's if you tell your friend, if you push us, if you try to, because I mean, not everybody can donate, and that's
just
fine. We
grow
don't
the
care,
show
man.
is
Just tell
enormous.
somebody about it. That's all. If you like the show, tell everybody you know about it and try to get some listeners. That's all we ask for people. Just, try to be a good member of our Crime and Sports Society.
Yeah.
That's it here. And what if people want to call you a good member, Jimmy? How can they do that?
You can find me at Wisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, and that's where you can tell me that you're also thankful for us. I really appreciate that stuff. Hearing from you guys and finding out how you guys are doing and the things that you guys go through too. It's fucking rad to know that you guys struggle just as much as we do. So thank you. Where can they find you?
You can find me at Jimmy P is funny, and all that shit. Hit me up and tell me whatever you want.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just cases, that's helpful.
Right.
Insult me. I don't know. I'll probably be mean back, though. I'm kind of a dick sometimes, so I'll be mean back.
Strap in.
I like when people try to be sort of dickish with us, try to be cute on Twitter, and it's like, no, you're not a comedian. Shut up. And I get to fucking, I get to be mean back.
You
and I'm like,
throw a jab back.
I love you. Stay in your fucking lane. Whatever you do for a living, I'm sure you're great at it, but I don't try to do that. So calm down. Calm down, everybody. So no, with that said, we love every goddamn word that everybody says to us. The fact that you would take the time to add us in anything at all is fucking fantastic. Thank you for that immensely. And we've done OJ. There you go, everybody. And more from there. We told you when we take a week off, we come back with a fucking vengeance.
We fling. We
and
definitely
we did
throw
it.
'em.
So live,
the dick beaters.
Oh, you know it. Live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
with a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.